Hello, the Sonic City Council is now in session. Thank you once again for joining us. Whether it's in your headphones, your car, your mind, we appreciate you very much, fellow citizens. And we're back with another roundtable. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Another round of table.
Hey.
Another round of table. And we have a new addition to the round table this week. It is Max's sister, Allie Taylor. What's up?
Hey.
Sister.
Excuse
up,
me,
guys?
it's Allie Rios.
That's right, yeah. No, but only refer to me as Max's sister, please. That is my that's my identity.
Allie, is that like some repressed childhood shit coming up through your humor?
Jeez. You know what's funny is that it's kind of true. In high school, I was always Max's little sister, and that was like how people knew me. But it's all right.
Well,
could be worse.
So I got this. We have a talented singer-songwriter and a new addition to the round table that we're happy to have very much. So there.
Thank you.
I've eliminated the Max's sister part of that.
There we go. I'll have it my own
Yes,
identity
it's
at
gone.
some point, you know.
You went hard robot there.
Yeah. Somehow I feel like I understood the tenor of it anyway, but
Don't worry.
Short-circuited.
You know, it's human interaction is limited these days, and most of my communication is with a 3-year-old, so it's kind of weird talking to adults again, you know?
I feel that.
Is it bad that while that was happening, I went, I don't know if that was me or somebody else. So it's like, I don't know if I'm usually the one having complications and freezing and all sorts
Yeah,
of
but
issues.
you also upgraded Jesse. You're fine.
Well, what's gonna be great is that we'll have Allie's audio in the podcast, and then she'll have actually said something, and then we'll all just be laughing at it out of context.
There you go.
You still killed. No matter what's going on, you still killed. So,
Take it.
yes. So this week, we wanted to do something lighthearted and fun, and this was actually Max's idea of basically gathering up some of our favorite music memes and sharing them with everybody and kind of talking about them and what they mean to us and maybe if there's any sort of personal connection there. So everybody's contributed into the meme pile. We've all sent our best to Max, and we're going to be going over them, and I'm stoked about it.
Me too.
Yeah.
I like a good meme.
Get my yeah. Sweet.
rousing chorus of crickets
You can tell.
ensues.
The excited energy is radiant.
I was gonna say I'm getting the coffee. Mine's kicking in. So all right. So I think we're Max. Do you want to start with anybody in particular? We can start with Allie.
Sure.
She's new.
We're gonna start
Yeah.
with Allie's. Allie number 1.
Allie number 1.
Sweet.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
So for
You know.
for the podcast listeners,
Yeah, what's about to happen right now?
because we do have an audio only version, you'll need to describe
Right.
oh
Yes.
no.
describe your meme.
Jeez, I don't think this is what the people want, guys. Let's just talk.
So glad mine are
Talk about how funny they look.
Well, for the folks listening on the audio versions, I will say go check out our YouTube page, full of all sorts of cool podcasts and visual sorts of things going on. But if you're just hardline on the audio, pretend this is what memes were like in the 30s when there was like fireside chats and stuff like that.
Memes from the 30s? What?
If memes were around in the 30s, they would have to
Welcome to our
describe them to you
fireside
over the
meme.
radio. Yeah, fireside memes is what we're doing today.
Remember those memes about the polio vaccine? Those were crazy. I don't know what's happening right now.
Yeah. All right. So,
It's like, hey,
Allie,
can you
we've-
call me? Can you call me and describe the funny pages in the paper to me?
jeez.
Oh, Christ.
Yes, I agree. So,
Try to describe this
we've
meme.
got. Well,
All right. Should I
Allie,
just,
do you want to
are we gonna
describe
sit
this,
around
or
and
shall-
talk
Go for it?
long about it, or are you going to break it down?
I'll break it down for you guys. So,
All right.
We've got this, you know, the cats that got the kind of smushed in face. Nobody really likes how they look, but people still have them, right? So it's that cat. He's got his head back, mouth open, with a country cowboy hat on. And it says, "Me, I hate country music. Country roads take me home to the place I belong." And then the cat, "West Virginia," just screaming it. And, you know, this pretty much, like, if there was ever a meme that resonated with me, this is it. Y'all know I love my cats. We got one back there. But
Yeah.
but yeah, no.
You love your cats.
just,
You love your John
yeah.
Denver. Yeah.
That's right. What else do you need?
Yeah. What else do you need?
cowboy
I don't know.
hat.
For me, yeah. For me personally, that the old guy with the cowboy hat screaming has been one of my favorites in the last few years, and you can kind of apply it to any
For
situation.
sure.
I like the now. See, this is where we break down memes like they're literature. I like the sort of. It seems like you can apply that to a situation of anguish, but he's on. I don't know. I love how this could kind of be applied to any situation, and it's sort of like this balance of anguish and happiness at the same time.
Right. Well, it's like, you
I feel
know.
this
Yeah,
can
I don't
this
know.
can be like
John Denver songs or
Yeah, John Denver songs.
But I feel like you feel like you can apply this to anybody who says they don't listen to country or they don't like country, because
me.
there's always one country song that if they heard that they're like, oh, this shit's my jam.
The Carrie Underwood song, "Before He Cheats."
Oh, for sure.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the one. I don't like country music, but that song comes on, and
Is that
I'm
only
ready to go slash some tires.
is that only because you were forced to play it for a couple of years?
No.
No,
That
he liked it.
aside,
Yeah, he liked it before it was added into the set list.
Gosh, that we can all relate to, though, for sure. I mean, there's so many songs that I loved before I had to play them in a band, and now it's like, if you play that song, we're going to have
Yeah,
issues.
it's only related to work in that.
Oh,
in that
that's
sense,
gonna
right?
come up again in this podcast.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Jumping the gun.
I was gonna say, are we airing all of our grievances now, or are we saving this a little bit for later?
Uh-oh.
I haven't even looked at
already.
like any other memes like ahead of time. So
No, I haven't either.
It'll all be a surprise. Okay, good. good.
Right. Well,
Okay.
Can anybody else think of a country song that they identify with that strongly?
I hate country music, but I love like 40 country songs, so I guess it's
Well, we do play in a
that
country
count?
band.
still hate country music.
Dog, I couldn't even name 40 country songs.
Oh
I
man.
can definitely name 40 country songs I really love, but I'm like, country as like a genre, I'm like, it's still a stretch for me to say I like it. It's like, this shit is different these days, I'll tell you what. And
That's very
That's
true.
all I can say.
I
I mean, I grew up
Mm.
like, yeah, but I mean, like, the difference is like what I understood country to be, and like the kind of songs I still feel like resonate with me. Like, the style is changed so much and veered more into like more of a just straight ahead pop music sort of vein. I feel like I think the most popular things right now are honestly pop music songs, like, you know, with some sort of window dressing of instrumentation, and they're calling that country music. And I think that, I don't think
Right.
it's cut and dry, but I think everyone can kind of feel that vibe, or you felt it once in a while. So, I mean, you know, I'm comfortable saying I hate things, so I say I hate country music. Yeah, I'm in a country band, Max. Thanks for the plug.
My cat right here wants
Benny
to
Thomas
chime
Band,
in.
streaming on all platforms.
My cat
There's been a
here
lot of
says, West Virginia.
Yes.
And there she
The most
goes.
exciting thing is that I couldn't tell what this was. I was excited because I couldn't tell I didn't know that was a cat, and I was just excited, like, what kind of fucking weird mammal is this? What kind of Japanese Godzilla cat, or
Right?
was it a hamster that was like going wild? I didn't know.
Yes.
Well, she
I
didn't like
loved it
West
very much
Virginia.
for that. Yeah. Like, West Virginia! Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a hamster at first too. I'm kind of there with you on that. I didn't think it was a cat at first
It
glance.
was a lot of, like a
Been around
fluffy,
this cat how many
fluffy
times?
hamster.
It's a big ass hamster.
It's
Yeah.
a giant hamster.
With everything that you've seen that's come out of the internet, a big hamster and a cowboy hat would be no. I don't believe that. That's too far fetched for me. I can't suspend my disbelief for that.
I don't know. If you told me if you told me that hamster was QAnon.
All right, so we just made a new meme right now. You know the one with oh god damn it, what's his
Wow, where'd he go?
it's
on
Drake,
camera,
right?
he drops it.
Okay,
Demonetized.
it's Drake, right? It's the 2 panel of Drake, and it's the one where he's like,
oh yeah.
No, and then he's like, yeah. So
Yeah.
you've got the like, the one with the hamster and the cowboy hat. They're like, yeah, that's the one, the cat with the cowboy hat.
Yeah, exactly. All right, are we good to move on to Allie number 2? And
Let me ask, does
speak
anyone
now or
actually
forever
like
hold your
country
peace.
music here?
Well,
I love country music.
Why don't we go to somebody else?
Like, Allie, you actually like enjoy country music?
Oh, it's like if I had to pick a genre that I love the most, I'd say country music. Now, if we're talking about current country, I have some issues, but I feel like ultimately country music comes down to storytelling, and that's what I really love about it. You know, it's not about the riffs and the runs.
Oh.
Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, you're good.
But yeah, you know, it's not about the gymnastics aspect of it like a lot of pop is, but obviously right now, probably the past like 10 years, it really is shifting towards, you know, hints of hip hop, lots of rock, you know. It's basically rock with a banjo, or, you know, you see guitar players, bass players with mohawks in these country bands backing Carrie Underwood and Miranda Lambert and stuff. But, you know, at some point, things need to evolve, right, to kind of broaden the audience, I suppose. Do I love it? No. But, yeah, there's a lot of country music that I absolutely adore.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I just didn't know if anyone actually like was a country fan.
For sure.
I am a country fan.
Yeah.
You didn't hear me clearly
pretty
say I
big
hate
country
country
fan, too.
music, but I like a shitload of it. I'm like, same difference. I'm like, there's another thing. Us being in a country band, I can tell you that we sent songs there to the country music syndicate out there, and the response we got was like, no, your subject matter's a little outside the box for where it's at right now. So the reality is, like, they don't even want to hear like real fucking country music anyway. So once they fucking take off the the guardrails, and it stops having to be about like taking your sweetie dancing on a Saturday night, like that's a great subject matter, but. I mean, I heard country songs growing up that actually did tell stories, and they would challenge your idea. And my favorite, my favorite ones are, people who do tell great stories in their songs, from goofballs to Luke Bryant to people like Shelby Lynn, Miranda Lambert, Emmylou Harris, for God's sakes. Those are all totally my fucking heroes. Rodney fucking Crowell, one of the greatest of all time. Randy fucking Travis. I'm done.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like country music, but it's like you have to really like. What do you call it? You really have to like taper that, or what do you call it?
Temper?
What's the word when you got like? I'm not all in. I'm not balls deep on it, baby.
Oh, man.
Balls dick balls, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
To quote a great man I know.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. I do too.
Memphis, Kansas
Next name.
Breeze.
Memphis, Kansas Breeze. Yeah, that's the epitome of a good country.
Truck School Dance.
Yeah.
Truck school dance, truck school dance. God love you guys, man. Holy shit, that's the best.
Well, I mean,
That
country
reference is
players
literally
too.
only for Davey.
Oh, right.
Country players are on
you're
another
Sammy Sosa
level.
right now, though, bro. I love that shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right. So.
buttons.
I'd say, since Davey just made a fantastic point about country music, I want to go to Davey number 1 for our memes here.
Okay. Mine were all in haste. I think that.
Oh
Did I say that?
God.
Did I say that out loud? Which one did you look at? Were you looking at Kenny?
Oh.
Which one were you looking at
Well,
first?
we have.
Looking at Kenny, right?
We have the Beastie Boys.
No. Yeah.
Oh.
Davey number
Beastie
1.
Boys.
Yeah. We're looking at
Well,
the
this is
Beastie
just-
Boys.
This one's
go
just struck
for
me
it,
as like
Davey.
cold hard facts. Yeah, so there's these 3 young gentlemen of Jewish descent here in this photograph, circa 1989-90. They're known collectively as the Beastie Boys. I've been a fan. And the meme says above and below them in profile, or not in profile, but they're in their portrait, can't catch coronavirus if you're already the illest. Beastie Boys, of course, being known for ill in the title of their songs and albums. Being hip-hop, hard rock pioneers. Yeah.
They do have a point. Well, I
don't think people reference Beastie Boys enough, so when I saw this one, that was kind of like, I will pocket this.
Yeah, for sure.
Keeps it in his wallet.
I do. I take it out. Right next to
It's a
pictures
reference I feel like a lot of people our age could get, but you're not expecting it. So it's just going to sneak up and then get that like surprise laugh from you as you're like scrolling through your feed.
It's really a meme for all ages because it's got, you know, the coronavirus mentioned that we're all going through right now.
You're right. That is like one Google search away from connecting with anybody of any demographic. Like,
Yeah.
they're just like, oh, that's who they are. Oh,
Yeah,
another dimension. Oh,
Yeah. Hip hop
and then grandma's
fans,
in on it too.
coronavirus,
We're gonna
Volkswagen
test this. I'll send this to
aficionados.
my auntie.
Everybody could get into
We'll
this
see.
meme.
Oh my god.
The VW chain is just.
Isn't that so fucking wild? That's so great.
I love it.
So
I love it.
big.
That to
Beastie
me that
Boys
screams like,
were the best.
okay, Public Enemy's got the clock. What are we going to do? And then he's like, don't worry, I got this. I got this. I have something large and circular I can wear too.
Yeah. Does anybody have anything large and circular? We can dangle it as a pendant from a chain.
Yeah. Well, my aunt has a VW bus. Yeah, that works. That's fine.
See,
Also,
that was rap
is
problem.
his
Early rap
hat vinyl?
I think everything. Let's take a quick gander.
There's a lot of textures in this. A lot of
There's a
textures.
lot to take on in this picture.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, I
Struggle
think that's
to wear
pleather.
jackets properly.
Yeah. And clearly they have a license to flail. I mean, they're just all over the place. I'm pretty sure that it's a pleather, like a leather or pleather hat situation there.
Yeah, maybe.
Wow.
Well,
It looks
okay,
very
take away
floppy.
take away the text caption for a second. This was like an actual promo picture, and that's why this thing exists. So
That's all.
the meme
Yeah, that's
was
exactly what this is.
yeah. So it's just interesting that I don't know that was a whole vibe and a look, and that was like what was cool. The way certain things now
I mean,
are cool.
It's usually how
This is
Currently
probably
a
something I
vibe
did
and a
when I was
look.
blacked out, you guys. I probably found the picture while I was scrolling blacked out and said meme and like.
You know, the funny thing is this doesn't necessarily look like a picture that would have been taken in the 80s. Like, this very easily looks like just a dumb meme pic that a bunch of, like, TikTokers could have taken.
Totally.
Like, literally today.
Right.
Yeah, if you edit it with like a filter from like like a vintage filter or something.
You could probably make all their faces into Logan Paul with a little bit of Photoshop.
Dude, there is, like,
That'd be
mad
weird.
Logan Paul, like, vibes coming off of this.
A little bit, right? Just like they're probably gonna start fucking with Pokemon cards while we look at the meme or some shit.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. No, my whole point with that was like now you see so many promotional pictures where you have to be cool and like look really really sleek, but now like I don't know, that just looks like fun and goofy, and it's just like you don't really see that kind of as much. I think it's like
Kind of shit.
there's a lot of there's a lot of trying to be slick and stuff going on.
I mean, but don't you think
sick.
that they were trying to be cool and slick in this photo? Like that was kind of the thing, you know?
Yeah, in their own way though. I don't think they were trying to
I
fit
mean-
into a particular vibe.
I mean, weren't the Beastie Boys like hyper aware of what they were?
Yeah, they were like goofballs and very fratty at first, but then by the second
Yeah.
album they started like reworking the formula, and then by the fourth album they were like vegan Tibetan monk guys, fucking
Oh yeah.
they were
Yeah.
like
Ill
sitting in
Communication
lotus
is a great
position while they
record.
rapped and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they were like they evolved it, but yeah, they were definitely aware of the thing. It was very much a put on thing. They're like, we're gonna take guitars and take our shitty punk band and we're gonna rap and it's gonna blow people's minds, and somehow it did.
Yeah.
I mean, it blew like enough.
Plus
people's
Rick
minds.
Rubin.
Rick Rubin.
All right. Yep.
Rick Rubin.
All right.
Rick Rubin,
So-
Jeffrey Tubin. They rhyme. That's terrible.
Yes. So moving down the meme panel here, we've got DH number 1, which I'm assuming that stands for David Hodrick number 1. If my
Heck yeah.
No,
Sherlock
that's
Distinguished
skills.
Hodrick number 1.
All right, let's see what madness David has contributed into the group here.
Oh man,
It's not madness. It's just heartbreaking.
this is classic.
It's too close to home.
This is
classic
one
music
that
meme.
every single one of us has experienced.
Okay, yeah. All
That
right.
might as well be my car.
See? It does look
It's
like
close.
a car.
It's close.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, for those listening, it's not really anything to describe visually. It's just a picture of an open back car with gear in it. But the text just says, musician, someone who loads $5,000 worth of gear into a $500 car to drive 100 miles to a $50 gig. And that's it. That's
Well,
it.
okay.
And all of our souls
So-
are stung if you can't hear that right now. Because we're all
It's
talking
like-
about exactly those gigs that have happened. Plenty of times.
Oh yeah.
You see something
Sometimes
like
you
this.
laugh.
Yeah,
Sometimes you laugh
about
because
but
it hurts.
You
Cringing.
do it in the
It's not
hopes
laughing.
of that $5,000 worth of gear in a $500 car to drive 100 miles turns into $75 or $100. But either way, that $5,000 gear just keeps going places for way
Yeah.
less money than you paid for all that.
Yeah. And that
Right.
$5,000 is probably being paid off on a credit card.
Yeah.
On a,
And sometimes
on a
you're
Guitar
spending
Center
72
credit
months,
card
baby. Financing, baby.
was like
And a lot of times you're
35.
spending more money on gas to get to the gig than you would actually make at the gig. So maybe
Sometimes,
you
yeah.
actually profited like $10 after you fill up your tank when you get back.
Yep.
But how much
Yeah.
exposure did you get?
All of it, dude.
Like
All
to
of it.
what?
Every fucking amount of exposure that you can think of, you got it.
Exposure
Because
to the
they're definitely
elements.
going to call you back.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And then months of financial irresponsibility and that 35 fucking % APR interest rate kicks in and that money's gone.
Yep, because
So-
he couldn't earn enough money on the $50 gigs to be able to pay back the $5,000 within the free year of interest-free.
Yeah, interest-free payments. Yeah.
Just for you to
Is
get
that
to that
any-
gig
as-
and your gear doesn't work, right? Your amp won't turn on or.
Oh no, we're not going to talk about that fucking shit.
Right?
Yeah,
Because
right.
you didn't test the gear ahead of
Podcast
time.
over if we go there.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not talking about fucking amps right now. I just played a gig.
There's
That video.
always
I'm
that
not talking
asshole
about
that
amps
shows
right
up
now.
to the gig with something they just picked up at Guitar Center.
Right.
It's just like,
I hope
I
that
know a
works.
really nice guy. He's not an asshole. He's one of my favorite people. And he does that at every gig.
who's that?
It's impressive. His name's Benny Thomas. It's always something. It might be small, but it's always something with my dude.
And Benny, if you're listening to this, you know.
You know, bro.
You know.
Sometimes he brings a whole new rig from the, like, he's like, I just stopped at the pawn shop and I found this PA, so we're going to try it tonight. I'm like, that shit has happened. We've done that gig. It's fun.
Yeah.
But you
I
know,
have so much cynicism
I mean,
about
the
that.
PA needed to get down.
but you know,
Max,
we,
was
at
the
least
one time that you drove to like San Diego for like $50 or something like that?
No,
Or something close to that?
But you know, at least we got those 2 free drinks.
Hell yeah.
What's the
We didn't
farthest
see.
any y'all drove for a gig that really wasn't worth the money? So not when you drove like 100 miles for like $500, but what was like, what's the farthest you ever drove for something that was like a regular night or worse?
Personally driven.
Like I'm thinking, like
Is this a
honestly, the
one-off,
farthest
or
I
is
drove
this-
for a gig that paid like $75 was like on like to Paso Robles, because I didn't know where that was. Don't say yes when you don't know
Jesus.
California like
Oh my
all the
God,
way, guys. I've been driving my life and I
That's
was like,
a
I
long
thought
way.
Paso Robles was like close to Santa Barbara.
no.
It's on the way past it.
Hey, Jesse, did we get paid for that Portland gig? I can't remember.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we got paid for that.
Did we? Okay.
Maybe I'll.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
we
we got
did.
paid. Okay, so I mean, this is So what this was supposed to be was David and I have a band called Rogue. You can look that up in the description if you're interested in checking it out. I was trying to book a short weekend run of gigs where I wanted to do Friday Northern California, and then Saturday Portland, and then Sunday like another Northern California or Oregon gig, and then drive back to California on Monday. I had booked the Portland thing on a Saturday, right? So we got the weekend in Portland booked. Could not get anything to save my life for Friday or Sunday. So instead of canceling at this venue that we wanted to make a connection on for touring, we literally rented a van and we drove up to do one gig up in Portland just to make like $50, just because I didn't want to cancel and go, hey, we couldn't book these other shows, because that looks good for a band, right? Hey, you know, we tried to contact all of these other places, but literally nobody got back to us because they were either full up or just for whatever, just they didn't know who we were. So we did sort of a band road trip out of it and drove up there.
And for those listening that don't actually know where we live, here in Palmdale, at least, we're about an hour or so north. We're about an hour or so north of LA. So just think LA to Portland for one show and back.
Yep.
Maybe
all
I'll.
in 2 days.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I'll.
That's like
Maybe I'll
800
Photoshop
miles.
in a map for the viewers. but-
Yeah, look at a graphic. Maxwell, dial a graphic for us.
actually look at the distance that is for 2 days of driving for one gig to just come straight the fuck back home.
Yeah, can we do like one of those speed lapse driving graphics that shows like a map relief and all of that fun stuff, like Travel Channel?
Sure.
Please.
Yeah, well, and I mean, really, it turned into a test to see, like, you know, I don't know if everybody was down to do it, and everybody was, and it just kind of became a cool sort of, really became a road trip more than anything. That was not tour managing cost effectiveness on that. That was like, hey, let's do this for a weekend and have fun. It was definitely not.
So what do you guys call that? Do you call that a gig, or do you call it a tour?
I'd call that
that was one
back in the
gig.
red.
That was.
I mean, but. Depends on who you're talking to.
I call that
if you
we
want to
spent
say
way
that you've been
more
on
than
tour,
we
that
got.
would count in a sense. I mean, that's far.
So
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
played
the
out of
venue
state.
liked us.
Brief tour. It was a brief tour.
Yeah,
So
well,
I don't know
I was
if-
gonna
I don't
say
know
the.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say another. I was gonna give another example, but
Yeah. Go for it.
I mean, at least the gig was a cool gig. It wasn't like we drove all that way and then there was like 2 people there and it just smelled like shit in the venue and the power got shut off like 3/4 ways through the gig. Like, you know, that would have been
Yeah.
That would have been right. But,
None of those things
it was
happened,
a
though,
cool
right?
gig. No, it was a
Yeah.
cool
No,
gig,
it was-
but it definitely felt like the type of gig that you could have went like, we could have drove 45 minutes for this. And
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if- I don't know if it
and
counts,
then
but,
we got like 4 hours sleep, and then we drove back the next day. It was great. I loved it.
oh god. So
That's fun though.
So I don't know if it counts, but I was in a band for a while where I would have rehearsals in Whittier,
Oy.
Ah, yes, this band.
and I would drive there maybe twice a month, sometimes more. And they weren't paid rehearsals. And then I would have, and then when we'd have gigs with this band, it would be like $100, but it would be out where they are, like close to there. So maybe the culmination of money, like the amount
Max,
of
do you
money I spent on
remember,
gas and like what?
You remember that one gig? So Max and I were in a band for a while called Bubble Paper, and we played children's music. And we did a lot of free gigs. Well, we did a lot of
Exposure gigs?
eat to play gigs where we got fed.
We played a pancake breakfast.
We played multiple pancake breakfasts.
I think I only played
Sounds
one.
worth it to me.
Oh, for sure. But we had a gig, and I think it was Santa Monica, and there were 4 of us in the band, and talk about so much gear. The only real instrument that we had in the band was an acoustic guitar. Everything else was like an octopad and little, like, you know, MIDI, whatever.
Right.
And so we get all the way down to this gig, and I look in the
yeah.
back of the truck, and I'm like,
It
did
wasn't.
anybody load the guitar?
It wasn't Santa Monica. It was
no.
It was downtown LA. It was Wilshire.
Was it? Okay, there we go. Yeah. And sure enough, nope, nobody loaded the one instrument that we needed. And we get to the gig. Mind you, this gig was a chili cook-off in a parking lot. And there were about 2 people there, and they were both in the contest. And the lady who hired us, she was like, oh, my husband has a guitar, and let us use her husband's guitar. And we played to nobody, and I think somebody gave us like a pack of gum, and that was cool. We got to try some chili, you know?
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Talk
This is
about
depressing fast.
Talk about a band. So, okay,
Matt,
so...
what's the furthest you've driven?
All right, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
The furthest I've driven.
The furthest you've driven for what was not nearly like enough money for how far you drove.
Yeah, the nunnest or the
yeah,
least
that kind.
amount.
Montana.
Dang.
Wait, whoa.
You drove to Montana, sir?
Montana. Yeah,
I thought-
multiple
I thought
times.
we would've had-
You in an automobile containing 4 wheels and a steering wheel went to Montana.
Yep.
You
Yep.
beat us
mean,
on Portland. I
it,
thought we were gonna be fucking a lock on that.
Dude, I thought Portland was the farthest by far.
Yeah.
My brain
know,
is dripping down the back of my head because my mind's blown.
That would be the kind of thing that, you know, it would be a different answer among a lot of musicians, though, because, I mean, to me, was the money worth it? Definitely not. But it was worth it to go and play with the particular person and group of people that I was playing with. So it was definitely one of those situations where, you know, the music was good and the hang was good. So
This was
right there.
This was a
that's-
tour,
2 out of 3.
wasn't it?
Okay.
Was this the tour that you did?
Technically, I mean, yeah. At that time, I would have been playing with Grant Ferguson, who I played with quite a lot in Montana. He was based out of there, and yeah, there were a few times that the band and I would make that drive out there. So that was kind of a rotating door of musicians, but yeah, I mean, to drive that far, you know, and make, you know, we'd go out there for like a week, you know, we'd play a few gigs and you know, we'd make.
Oh, but it was a few gigs at least.
Yeah, we'd play a few gigs and, you know, we'd
Okay.
come home. We'd all
I
come
thought it was
home with
one way.
like roughly $1,000.
Okay.
But you know, over the course of that entire week, is that roughly worth it? No. I mean, almost every single time that we would go and do that gig, there were, you know, like plenty of things that I could have done at home that would have paid just as much. But again, it's one of those situations where you're that willing to work with that person.
Right.
That
Dig that.
you will do something like that. And at that point, you know, Grant had already been a very close personal friend of mine. So it wasn't just a gig at that point.
Yeah.
Plus, you never know what the situation will bring. Like, yeah, it could be a $50 gig, but depending on who you're
Connections that
playing
you
with,
can usually make.
yeah, you may get a connection to something bigger, or
Oh yeah.
For sure.
it may
definitely.
So
or
it's hard to
maybe
turn
like
those down early.
maybe a step to a better paying gig.
Or chili. You might get chili out of it. You
Or
know?
gum.
Yeah.
Thank you, Allie, for
Or
bringing up something
pancakes.
that matters. Thank you.
Jeez.
Money.
I thought
It's that.
That's why she's
I
still
thought it
my
was
favorite.
funny. You brought up a chili cook-off in LA, but I played a chili cook-off with you guys here in the AV that was like in the parking lot of a
Oh
car
man, we
dealership.
did.
Yeah, and I
We
filled
did
in.
do that.
Yeah,
fun.
and so when you said chili cook-off, I went, wait, but that was out here. No, another chili cook-off.
Wait,
just one.
I totally forgot about that.
With
Did
a
we even
different
get to
band.
try chili? Like, I don't even remember trying chili on that gig.
No,
either.
I remember eating. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, it was good.
Well, because the chili cook-off didn't actually happen, right?
I
Like,
don't
we got there
remember.
and there was like only one participant or something. And so,
for the bubble paper one.
no, for the car
Oh.
dealership chili cook-off thing. And they were like, yeah, we're still going to play you to play because there's people here. But like something happened with the chili cook-off and it was just like,
Oh,
I guess this is just not going to happen. Like, we've got one guy making chili, and you're welcome to have some.
Man.
But like,
Yeah, no,
Serve it
you're right.
up.
You're right. It basically became a chili buffet and not a chili cook-off. That's what it was, because there was not contestants and there was no competition. It was just, hey, here's some chili. You want to buy a minivan?
you know,
Could be worse, you know?
that's a good point. Sometimes gigs lead to things like that. Like, I had I did a favor, like, for the last I've talked about it before, the VR shoot that we did.
Yeah.
You know, I had a guy come back in to do some, like, to redo his vocal, and I'm not getting paid for any of this. So he was like, "Hey, do you like whiskey?" I was like, "Yeah, all right, I'll get you a bottle." And so he just brought me a bottle of whiskey the next time I saw him. I was like, awesome.
All right.
Solid.
Sweet.
That's a nice fella. All right. Do we want to move on to Matt Lindsay, number 1?
Jesse, why don't you have any in here?
Yeah, what the hell, Jesse?
Oh, I didn't put him in here.
Max.
What the hell, Max?
All right, while we
can
look
Mac-
at that, I will put them in.
Okay. All right. Moving
This
right
is very
along.
funny. This is very
At
funny.
number 1. Oh,
This is the real. This might be the realest meme of the bunch. I feel like.
Except that we all do this for not extra pay.
Now,
Yeah.
the hilarious thing is, I would have put money on the fact that at least one other person in this group would have also submitted this meme.
I just didn't actually go looking for these. When Jesse asked me to make or to send Max memes, there were 2 off the top of my head that I was just like, oh, those are just my go-tos that just resonate with me a whole lot. So I didn't like go looking for memes.
Sure.
But this is good. It's missing some journey though.
Oh, it's missing quite a few things.
For sure.
It's an imperfect list. It is an imperfect list, but it gets the point across.
It gets the point across. But it needs journey.
Songbooks can be positive and negative. This is turning into a negative songbook of songs you never want to play.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Who's gonna
top
describe
for
it?
me
Matt, you
on
gonna
that.
describe it though?
Can I describe it?
Yeah.
Yes, go for it.
Yeah, of
For
course.
the audio.
So this particular meme is nothing fancy. It's just a little white background with some red lettering, and it just says "song menu" at the top. And as most musicians know, when you work the working musician scene, there are quite a few repeat requests that you will get over the years. And coming from someone who was very bright-eyed and willing to play everything all the time when I was younger, mentally I've definitely been eroded by a few of these tunes over the years. So anyway, song menu. Tush, $10. Pride and Joy, $10. Fair enough. Bon Jovi, Anything, $20.
That's an
Keep your hands to
extremely. I was gonna say
Bon Jovi,
that's an
$20.
extremely.
That's generous.
Well, I will
Keep
say
your
that-
hands to yourself. Go ahead, Jesse.
I was just gonna say anything is an important
lag.
distinction in there. I would charge some, more for some songs, but I like that it's pretty much the entire catalog in one selection. Sorry, go ahead.
Yep, so Keep Your Hands to Yourself, $50. Brown Eyed Girl, $100. Sweet Home Alabama, $100. Freebird, market
price?
plus $500.
So if I ask for free bird and you play it, do I also get like a lobster because of market price? Like,
Yeah.
And then finally we have Mustang Sally, which quite aptly says you can't afford it.
What's the Kelly Blue Book value on Freebird these days? I haven't checked it in a few years. Is it like
nice.
It's probably close to like GameStop value, or GameStop stock value.
Yeah. Well, The only distinction I would make in disagreement, I would say, is that for me, you could put a 0 next to Freebird because I play that to annoy. I like the song genuinely, and I've done this with Max and David on a gig before. Multiple gigs. When somebody yells it out, if you know it and you play the whole thing, you quickly see the smile drain from their face as you're about 2 or 3 minutes into the song. And then by about 5 or 7 minutes in, then it's either extreme discomfort or they've just left at that point. And then I'm having the time of my life, really, at that point. So it's
Right. Yeah, I'm having
you
a
know,
good time.
I get my own amusement out of it.
Now,
Because inevitably the guy who requests it is doing it as a joke. Because everybody
Right.
loves to yell Freebird. But the person who first says stop is usually not the guy who requested it. So,
yep.
but Jesse and David, you remember when we tried to do the Rickroll Freebird?
Wait, no.
It was a really good idea on paper.
So we were gonna do
Refresh my memory.
we were gonna do Freebird whenever it was called out, and then right when like the band comes in, we would Rickroll the song and go into Never Gonna Give You Up.
Oh boy,
Did we-
That's a room clear.
That's a double whammy.
It was ambitious, let's put it that way.
That clear dance floor.
That's ahead of its time, yeah. Avant-garde.
Well, did we ever do that on a
careful what you ask
gig, or
for,
did we rehearse
Yeah.
that? Did we rehearse it?
We rehearsed it
Because I
like
remember
We
twice,
rehearsed it.
so we never did it.
But we never
Oh.
we never
You
we
said-
never busted it out though, right?
No,
No, it wasn't. It
Shame.
wasn't clean enough. It wasn't like. It wasn't dialed right.
Oh,
We're
God.
still working.
Yeah.
Never gonna give, never gonna give. It's stuck in my head now.
So my favorite story about something that relates back to this meme was another very good friend of mine who I love playing with, Felice Garcia, who I play very often with in Vegas. My favorite thing is that not only did she also have this list of songs that she hated to perform, she would give the audience an opportunity to double tip the band to stop
Brilliant.
playing the song. And so there was a situation at which the audience could outbid each other for a request. And it happened quite a few times where somebody would request a song, and you know they put in like a small modest tip, and so we'd start playing the song, as we would always do. And yet there were a lot of regulars that would come to see us, and they caught on to the joke. So they would wait for that person to drop their money in, and as soon as we'd start playing the song, they'd just casually stroll up, drop the money in, and we'd stop. And at the time, it was a really ballsy thing to do. You know, we're playing in the middle of a casino. There's
Awesome.
God knows how many levels of management watching us at any given time. But granted, we were, friends with everybody there. It was one of those things that could have very, 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 very easily and probably should have come off as being unprofessional. And yet it killed. Just the demographic
That's fun.
at that casino loved it. The managers loved it. Everybody loved everything about it. And
What song
I
was
just
this again?
remember being Brown Eyed Girl was like the biggest one. Like somebody would request Brown Eyed Girl, they'd drop like a $5 tip in the jar, and then within seconds, right after the intro, somebody would stroll up and drop like $20.
That should be
In the
higher
jar.
on the list, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's
And-
probably my
yeah.
least favorite to sing. Least favorite. I mean, you guys have heard me complain about it when we were in the corporate band together.
That's probably up
Just
there
like,
with
ugh.
Freebird for me. Brown Eyed Girl.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I know one that would be
Me-
on there for Matt though.
Oh, go for it.
Oh God.
I think
Plenty
you know,
that could
Matt.
be up there for me.
Well,
Oh, I know
Oh,
what you're talking
Allie?
about, too. I know.
Allie?
well, we were in a band for a while
Yes.
called The Suits, and people love a good love shack. And Matt just so happened to, during a rehearsal, I think, kind of like fake like do the voice, and it was spot on, and I forced him. I'm surprised that we're still friends, honestly. Like, I forced him to do it live multiple times, and somehow he still has my phone number in his phone, so, you know.
Hey.
Allie, I got to add a tail onto that story. At a gig, you guys were doing a bar gig as the Suits, and you had played that song, and during your break, you know, from that set, I went up to Matt and I said, "Hey, man, you sounded really good on that song." Matt rolled his eyes and then scoffed and walked away from me after I said that, and he didn't come back. So when you say that, I'm surprised he still, you know, has your number. It's like, no, that was real. There was something real and visceral. No, there was something real and visceral about Matt singing that song, because Matt has never done that to me before or since then. Just mid-sentence, and then walked away, and I went, "Oh shit, I'm sorry," and then just okay.
Oh my god.
Has the PTSD worn off though? Like, he was so good at it, like so good, ridiculously
Matt, do
good.
it right now.
Yeah, right.
No.
That's when the Zoom
That died
freeze
with the
comes
band.
in. Just,
Matt Lindsay have left the chat.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's all love. It's all,
Let sleeping dragons lie.
there we go.
I think for me, Don't Stop Believing. I really, really, really,
Yes.
really don't like playing that song. Separate Ways I can
That's
play
not a
all
good
day
time.
for some
I don't
reason. I could play that one all day.
Yeah, it's okay.
Don't Stop Believing, not having a good time.
You know, those, like, most of the songs on that list are like universal songs, but there are some songs that I feel like certain musicians hate, and it comes down to like instrument. Because I think vocalists love singing Journey.
It's pretty fun.
If
Yeah.
it's in
get
their
that,
range,
sure.
you know.
Sure.
I could totally understand that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to look at it. The way that I've gotten through it, especially, you know, playing those same songs so many times in Vegas and just in, you know, working gigs, casuals, all kinds of things, is just every time I've got to play one of those songs and I catch myself, you know, going to that headspace, I just try to remind myself about how cool it is to do what we're doing. In that moment.
Somebody out there is going to
Like,
be fucking blowing their minds in like 2 seconds because you're about to play this song, and they're about to have a great fucking time.
Yeah.
And you know, there's lots of different things you can do if you find yourself checking out for something like that. You can. I try to use it as an opportunity just to challenge myself, because I know it's a song that I can just play brainlessly. So sometimes I'll be playing the song and still listening to everybody, but I'll be doing things in my head while I'm playing. So usually I'll be singing some kind of metronomic reference in my head, but I'll just be singing the 4th 16th note instead of feeling the downbeat, and just seeing how well I can do that throughout the song. And the cool thing is, like, it's a way to zone out through the tune, and it stays challenging, and it makes your pocket better for doing it.
For sure.
So,
Times like that
So, I
are
get
a
that.
great time to people watch too.
Yeah.
oh, totally. Totally.
Yes.
That's the
Yep.
time where they just go
Songs like
fucking
that
nuts,
are
and you
honestly
just-
the only time I ever even really see the audience, because I've talked to different people about this. I'm one of those people, the second the music starts on stage, I can't see the audience anymore. They disappear to me.
Really.
Yeah. So
They're always there with me.
I will 100% forget that the audience is there. I don't forget that I'm playing to an audience, but visually, the audience just on whatever level of consciousness that occurs on, they just completely disappear to me visually. And it takes something pretty stark to happen in the audience for me to snap out of playing in the moment and realizing, oh yeah, there are people right in front of me.
Well, I think as a singer, it's a little bit different for these songs, because like with like Brown Eyed Girl and those tunes, they're not as fun to sing. But with like Journey, the audience is also singing and the audience is hyped. So like to have them, you know, just a couple feet away, even if we're just in a bar with, 50 people, it almost makes it feel like you're in an arena type thing, because there's this flow of energy back and forth, where it's a little bit different if it's just like they're line dancing to a song.
Yeah.
Right? So it kind of like, it's more of that interaction moment to where like I don't mind doing Don't Stop Believing over and over again. Or even if a song just like sits in a sweet spot in my voice, like that's cool too. But yeah, Brown Eyed Girl can just like shove it. That's the only one.
Remember how bad we felt for CJ because we did what was it? Eye of the Tiger into Edge of 17. So we just had like 8 straight minutes of just digga 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 and then the key change.
Yeah, we in our cover band, our guitarist hated us because we created the Chugga medley, which was Eye of the Tiger transitioning into Edge of 17. So he had to go dunga 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 and then up to dunga 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 for like.
Oh, that's what it was. You had to go up.
Yeah, 'cause then it drops.
Yeah, it was like up a whole step, I think, because Eye of the Tiger was in C, and then Edge of 17 was in like D, I think.
His face the entire time was just
E minor.
Oh man.
Oh, yeah.
Allie saying line dancing made me think of I don't know if it relates much, but there was a place that Davey and I used to play with the country band that was like,
Oh yeah.
all they did was line dance, and we could play whatever the fuck we wanted. And they would line dance
dancers
to it.
are interesting. It has to be the perfect tempo, or else they get mad.
Oh,
like
yeah.
if it's a
did
little
they get
fast.
mad?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If you know our band
Big
at
time.
all, did they get mad? They were like, stop playing 2 steps or whatever. It's like, play something.
Yeah.
We don't know what that
So
means, so so we're gonna play a hip hop song.
Right.
And it's great because they're on the riser and they're down on the floor and they're just screaming up at us. It's pretty
Wow. I came here to
what
boot
else we
scoop
got on?
boogie. Yeah, let's move on to the next one.
I played 5 of those 8 songs today at my gig, and
Nice.
I didn't mind them.
Do you guys see Jesse's in there?
Just wanted to say,
Yes.
didn't get paid
Yes,
extra
I see
though. I
it.
would have made.
Yeah.
I would have
I mean-
made like $220 if I'd gotten the tips from.
Honestly,
Five, I
Davey,
play.
I don't mind it either, because even when you find yourself in a position like that and you have to do something that maybe isn't favorable, there's always something to take away from that too, because you can
Word.
always exercise patience or restraint in those moments too. So I mean, things like that are valuable in themselves.
Especially when you're getting paid those prices.
For sure. Helps.
Are we moving on to Jesse's?
Yeah, let's
Jesse's
do.
meme has got it going on.
Yeah, let's do my number 1.
That was.
So this is the Homer Simpson Marge meme for anybody who's seen this. It's Homer Simpson looking very skinny, and it says "my guitar playing," and then panning around to the back of Homer Simpson where he has a bunch of clothespins and stuff pulling his fat back that way. It says multiple takes, crossfades, reverb, and delay, and then Marge says "my friends and family." And that's one of the ones that's from
Looking
Blues.
very impressed.
Yes, that's from Blues Lawyer Memes on Instagram. I enjoy their stuff. I think they created that one. But yeah, that one for me, that resonated with me for multiple reasons. For one, I'm a fan of pedals and effects, and I use those on bass, which sometimes elicits a weird reaction from people. But it's also, as much as that can be true sometimes, depending on the kind of player it is, that like I think it's funny that, if you're not a good player or you make a mistake, especially if you have reverb or delay, it's still gonna, I mean, you're just gonna take the mistake or the badness and it's just gonna be echoing around for 800 milliseconds or whatever. So yeah, that one connected with me for multiple reasons.
This also kind of resonates with me with like, this is everything behind the scenes that a musician does that nobody else sees.
Right.
Where it's like, yeah, I sound good and it may look like a hobby to you, but this is like 20 years to get to this point that you don't see.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's
No, that's why real recognition is nice because a lot of times people you're playing for or in front of, I should say. They're oblivious, right? Yeah.
Sometimes.
No, that's it. It's the multiple takes got to me. I was like, yeah. When we track our song in the studio.
That's why you got the.
I was the Jake of multiple takes.
Yeah. That's why you got the guys yelling out Freebird at a gig, not realizing that you've played Freebird 1,000 times already.
Right.
I feel like they don't even know what the fuck they're asking for. They're just like, I heard another person say it. This is what you say in shows. Terrible way to try to fit in, dude.
I think the thing that kills me is the people that shout those things out and are, let's say, not cultured enough to realize that Leonard Skinner are not the greatest guitar players in the world.
Aren't they?
But, you know, granted, are great musicians, but anytime people come at music with that kind of attitude, like, oh, this is the greatest song ever, these guys are the greatest guitar players ever, this is the greatest solo ever played, it's just like,
Yeah.
dude,
well,
like,
so
just miss the band with that shit, man, because you're just coming from a place where you just have no idea.
Yeah, so David and I, being of heavy metal ilk and like going to festivals and shows, we have gone to so many where we get the metal version of Freebird, which is people yelling out Slayer at the top of their lungs, even if they are nowhere in the fucking vicinity of wherever we've gone to see a show. We've literally driven to San Diego to like go see, you know, Korn, Alice in Chains, you know, just, hey, we're gonna go drive to go see this show or whatever. You'll hear it there, you know, not even any remotely near LA or anything like that. Be at a giant festival, nobody from Slayer is in any of the bands, and it's just, you know, it is something to where I don't know, that to me is funnier than Freebird, because Freebird's kind of old to yell that out now, but it's still just, I don't know.
Slayer, dude.
So, like,
because it's
Slayer.
because it's they trump everything. It's just like, it doesn't matter if the heaviest band in the world is on stage, that it's not heavy enough for whoever this troglodyte is that just vomited this sound out of their mouth. It's just Slayer! Yeah. Some dude that some Homer Simpson looking dude, some metal Viking with no shirt on and a turkey leg is just Slayer at a show.
So, dude, I feel like,
And I love it.
I feel like Brian Posehn is kind of at fault for that.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's been around for a long time, but I feel like his comedy made that more of a popular thing.
I dig it.
Absolutely.
I'm never annoyed by Slayer. It does not matter. I could walk out of a Fleetwood Mac concert and somebody could yell Slayer and I'm all
So let me pose a scenario to you guys. Have you ever experienced this, where I'm sure you all have, where you're playing with a band, maybe you're doing a casual or something, and somebody requests a song that the band either quote unquote doesn't know or doesn't play, right?
Yeah.
So everyone, I think, has had that experience where you get off stage for break, or you end the show and you're starting to pack up, and of course that person comes around for a second time and wants to regale you with their tale of why it's either the greatest song that has ever existed or why the person playing on it is the greatest player of their instrument ever, and why you should feel ashamed for not doing the song.
Yeah.
For sure.
I've got one word for David, and your background kind of matches that perfectly, Matt, and that's Prince. And you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
The purple one.
Our cover. Well, and Max knows too.
Are you talking about Silver Fox?
There was an older gentleman at one of our recurring person at this bar where our cover band played.
Gig.
Yeah, every gig. And
yeah, Allie knows about this guy too.
For all of our bands. Yeah.
He was just the Beck's guy.
Yeah.
Yes, there was a local bar in the Antelope Valley called Beck's that was a top 40 cover band bar. And some nights it was country, some nights it was, pop, some nights it was classic rock, whatever. It's just cover band city.
But whatever
it was, this guy,
it was a DJ after every set who played
Yes.
all the top pop hits.
Right. So
Some that we already played.
Fucking mess.
No matter what band was playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, that
there
being
was a guy-
said, shout out to
Yes.
DJ MK, just because he's such a cool dude.
He is.
Okay.
Yes, he absolutely is.
Bex is fun.
But so this guy who we will dub him the Silver Fox to protect the innocent or not so innocent, however you want to look at it. He would
Do
always.
we even know his name? Like,
No, I don't.
no.
I don't remember at this point. So it is the Silver Fox.
Yeah.
That might as well be on his social security card
Exactly.
at this point. So the Silver Fox, every gig, when we first started out to when we ended there and the club, changed ownership.
In the club.
It was Prince. It was play Prince, and then we get done. We would do some '80s song that was close to Prince. Play Prince, and then it was just every gig for years. And then at one point, and when he stopped heckling us because we were new and he liked us, he would still yell out Prince, and he was still dissatisfied every single gig, but he kept showing up. And to this day, it's every time I listen to his music, then it's like Silver Fox is just creeping around in the back of my head, just yelling at me to play Prince.
But it's the dance moves. I mean, this guy crushed it. He had signature moves. I'm gonna throw up my air guitar, do a spin, catch it, a little hip wiggle, yes.
Yeah, he was
Get
doing Michael Jackson spins for sure.
Dang.
I remember there was talks of actually adding in a Prince song, and I was like, "What? No,
you can't appease him.
appease to this guy. No."
If you
He'll
add
never
in a
show up
Prince
to
song,
another
the
gig.
terrorists win.
Did he ever request a Prince song by name, or did he just say play Prince? Did he ever ask for
Prince.
Prince.
Play Prince.
By the
not
way,
Raspberry
what song?
Beret.
By the way, this is
Let's Go Crazy.
This is the same guy who our
fucking
audience
special
might
place.
remember a story I've told before. That
You think they'll remember?
well, I think I told it on the previous podcast, but this is the same guy who forgot that I was part of the band.
Oh, yeah.
After like 2 years of playing in the band, and came out and was like, "Man, you sounded really good. Like, did you just join? Like, are you like?" It's like, "No, dude, I've been there the whole time."
Yeah. Yeah, it was also at that same venue where I had a lady come up to me, compliment our vocalist, and she said, "Oh, thank you," and I said, "Yeah, thank you very much," and turned to me and said, "Oh, and what do you play?" And after the whole set of complimenting the band, and it just like,
Because you're really hard to notice, like 7 feet
Yeah.
tall, long blonde hair,
Giant blonde bopping around everywhere.
Yeah.
Going to and fro.
it's fine. I'm a low end jukebox. It's fine. Put a quarter in me and I'm
Like,
putting it out.
Aren't we all?
He's so conspicuous.
But that makes me think.
I still have video on my phone of that because it tickled me when I watched you guys play, when I watched Rogue the Band play. You always see my man right back there. I was like, there he is.
That makes me think of the same type of guy who comes up after a show and is like, "Oh man, you guys were really good. I played drums.
Yep.
I've been playing for
God.
50 years, and
Oh, does that bug you?
and then proceeds to tell you his life story while you're packing up, and all you can do is just go, because you can't just walk away and do something else because you're packing up.
Because
got
you got
you
your
trapped.
$5,000 worth of gear out there that you
Right.
just drove 100 miles for.
Yes.
And you double counting your $50.
I will say sound people have it worse in that because no one ever comes up and goes, "Hey, that's cool. I play drums too." No, it's always, "Hey, you got to turn vocalist up, and hey, I've been doing sound for 30 years," and then it's just some crusty old dude with no teeth, and he's trying to tell you about how he's been
Right.
doing sound for 30 years, and
Yep.
it's like I do
Looks
this
at
for
the
a
model
living,
on
and
the
I.
PA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do this for a living. Yeah, me too. And then I just turn around and go back to doing what I'm doing.
Dude.
Jesse hits you with one of these. Vocals.
Yeah, the drunk guy
Got
who's
it.
standing in front of you and turns around and goes, and then starts giving me sign language and turns around and I go, "Oh, okay," and give him a thumbs up. It's like, get out of here with that nonsense.
I gotta say, man, that's one of the only types of people that I can really say I've got no time for.
No.
Somebody who wants to come up and tell you
We're having a mad
how
time.
you should be doing your job better
job.
than you are.
Yeah.
Especially when you can obviously get that impression from few seconds that they really have no clue what they're talking about.
Right.
But I mean, my whole thing is if somebody wants to come up and talk to me after the gig, I got time for them. Even if it's just like 15, 20 seconds, and even if they want to tell me their life story, and if they're another drummer, I can always admire that somebody has the maybe confidence isn't the right word, just that somebody could work themselves up to the point that just that somebody can
You're right, Max. That's
just that somebody can come up and talk to you, because it just makes me think that a lot of the people that are probably the most interesting to talk to in the room are also the people that would just never do that. So, and that's kind of the tragic thing too, is that a lot of the people who are the most would be the most cool to me in any given room are also the people that are the least likely to come up and talk to you afterward. And if they do, they're going to be the people that aren't going to give you anything to go on either. They're just going to come by and say like, hey dude, great show, you sounded awesome. And for all you know, that person is like a massive player themselves that you're just not aware of. And that's happened to me a few times, where like guys in LA that I wasn't aware of have like seen me play at gigs and like given me compliments, and I found out after the fact, oh shit, this guy played with this person. Wow. Yeah. Never would have known. But that's how it goes. Quiet confidence is a rare trait for people to have. But people that are genuine professionals are usually like that too. They're not going to come up and tell you how to do your job better. Right.
No. Right. No, I if people aren't rude, I love talking to people. I'll talk to people all day long.
I like people that are rude too.
Have we gone over Max's stuff?
Abuse me a little bit.
No. Right, Davey. No, we have not. So we can move on to Max number 1.
Max 1.
I think Max might win with this one, at least for me.
All right.
Max is definitely the dirtiest.
So this is hardcore music nerd meme. So all right.
I definitely understand exactly what I'm looking at.
I'm not disappointed.
So we got a guitar we got a guitar player, and he's got this face. He's looking at we think he's looking at another band member. He's got
It's a stank face.
It's a stank face, but it's also like I know what you did.
It's like, yeah, you did.
And
that was you, wasn't it?
And the caption is, when your bandmate accidentally plays a C minor over major 9, add 6, add 11, flat 13, sharp 11 over E, instead of a C minor over major 9, add 6, add 11, sharp 13, sharp 11 over E. And you notice it. So,
God.
Okay. For those who maybe aren't gigantic music theory nerds,
it's not funny.
No.
This makes me so happy.
Let's translate this.
I'll relate this to I don't know, maybe you're in a play and your fellow actor says one line of dialogue slightly different than he usually does, and it's nobody else will notice it but you on stage, and it's really funny to you. So that's what this is. They were supposed to play a certain chord, and instead they play a different chord that has just one note that's different, and nobody else notices it except you. And it's amazing.
So good.
Well, this is a key thing of what we've kind of been talking about, there's a whole world going on stage that the audience is not privy to, even if the audience is fully engaged and dancing and having a good time. We've done this to each other a bunch of times where I might throw out a lick, David might throw out a drum lick, or Max does something on keys. Max is notorious for this on keys in a great way. When Max has room to have fun, he can sneak in some stuff to where the audience will never notice, and then you're looking over at Max going oh, okay. It's like we're getting a little interesting tonight.
Unless I want
And
the audience to notice.
See, sometimes depends. Yeah, it depends. Yeah, no, but it's just that's the world of it. It doesn't even have to be. I've done it to where in one of our Rogue songs, I threw in the lick on bass. That da 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 da. I threw that in because it was in the same key. Yeah, I throw it in, and it was funny because the first time I did it, our singer looked at me like, but she didn't know what I did. And I said, oh, I just played the lick. And then when I said that, everybody laughed and they didn't catch it at first. But sometimes you could sneak some stuff in there, and
there was a thing we did in that band. What was the song we played? It was a Tom Jones song, right? Yeah. It's not unusual. Okay, yeah. It was. We played It's Not Unusual, and I would play the horn part, and we got such a kick out of that, like, ba-da-da-da-da-da, that, like, we had to throw it in at least once into a different song every gig.
That's great.
Like that exact
Whatever
same
key it
riff,
was.
Max?
That exact
The same riff, just
yeah.
whatever key it was in of that song particularly.
Yeah.
yeah.
Gosh.
And that's
That is
exactly
kind of thing.
that's that
I mean,
meme. That's the I know what you did.
Yeah. Oh, that is so
Yeah.
right. That is it. That is it.
Yeah.
Well, it all goes back to Matt's meme, of the menu where, you play these songs over and over again. And especially when, I think we can all relate to this. I mean, we've all been in bands together at some point that, you have to do those things to kind of keep your sanity and kind of to be like, hey, remember, like, we're in this. Yeah, like, we're friends, like, it's... Is my internet freaking out?
Right.
A little bit.
It did
yeah.
slightly, darn.
Yeah, it's back. It's back.
It's
But
bad.
yeah, you gotta keep each other in check and have fun, or else, what's the point? You gotta
Yeah.
you gotta laugh. You gotta have fun with it.
Yeah.
As long as you're not doing it at the job's expense, and like
For sure.
completely
Right.
doing
No.
it.
No, yeah.
I mean, there is
Oh,
a
for
fine
sure.
line between just
Yeah, you got to
Being a
know your
torpedo.
settings, that's for sure.
I feel like there have been. I
I've
feel
been
like there
guilty
were
of
a
that so
couple
many times.
instances where I've almost derailed.
Admit it. Oh shit.
where we just we have a couple of those of these meme moments of like a tip to you, sir.
Yeah.
And then we just
Right.
kind of dig down that rabbit hole of, oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh fucking yeah,
Yeah.
to the point where our singers will have to turn around and like, whoa, are we? Is that even the section?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you gotta, ooh, all right, we'll dial it back. We'll dial it back.
Well, that's always fun too, of just when things go wrong on stage, and we're all at a level of musicianship where we can usually cover it up to where, unless there's musicians in the audience, they're really not going to notice, especially if alcohol's involved. But I'll never forget, in our corporate band, we were playing Jump. We were playing the Van Halen tune, and Max has this 80s keytar, and he jumped on the very last beat of the song, and the batteries fell out of his pack. And we're rolling all over the stage, and the keytar just kept on that chord, and we couldn't get it off.
Yeah, it caused the note to
forever.
stick. Yeah.
It was so good.
I was like
Yes.
panicking. I had to
Yes,
like
dude.
turn the volume off of my keyboard to make it stop, and then like figure out how to.
I had forgotten about
Fumble
that.
for your batteries
Awesome.
all over the stage.
That is awesome.
Oh man.
Worth it.
The funny thing.
Totally
the funny
worth
thing is that like
Best gig ever.
when we were at that level and before like playing those gigs, that was things like that were huge deals. Like fucking up on a song and just being like, wow, how are we gonna get back? Like we just have to keep going.
For sure.
But now if we do that on stage, we either just laugh it off or we just go like, all right, stop. Let's just start it again.
Right.
And like
Yeah.
you come to realize that the audience really doesn't care.
They don't.
When was the last
if
time
you've
you
been
played a
playing-
gig where you had to start a song over?
Yeah.
When we used backing tracks, I feel like we had to a few times.
I feel like we did on a Benny gig recently.
I didn't want to
to
say, but yeah, I'm pretty sure we've totally done that.
I was gonna say, if you're playing well
Yeah.
enough beforehand,
And I think it
like
was my
leading
fault,
up to
too.
it, if you're playing for like an hour leading up
That's
to that
even
point,
like-
and then that happens like an hour into your set, if you're playing well enough and the audience already like establishes in their minds like you guys are a good band, you guys know what you're doing, and then you start over, they don't look at you like, whoa, what is this crap band doing? Like if you started your set like that, you'd have to earn that. You'd have to earn that respect back. But if you're already like mid set, you're pretty good to go.
It should be known that like at this point it has to be a major fuck up for that to happen. It has to be like it has to be like half of the band came in at the wrong time, and and there's just like no point in trying to play through it to fix it.
Especially if you're using backing tracks where like it's all to a click and there's like really distinct like horns or something going on, and no,
for sure.
just stop.
I mean, we have the best excuse though. All you have to say is, "Oh man, we're just having some technical difficulties. Like, give us a second." And they don't know. You know, there you go. That's what that's for.
I like to call them
Are there ever
physical
technical difficulties?
Or throw your drummer under the bus and just say, you counted in wrong.
Oh my
There you go,
god, dude.
Mental difficulties.
Yeah, I like to berate my musicians on stage.
Oh, James Brown style. Nice.
I was gonna say Max turns
drummer
around
started
and
the
then he
song right.
finds people.
You know, it's a joke, but it's amazing how many musicians never figure that out.
What is that?
That like
What?
berating another player on stage can never yield a good outcome.
No, it does not come off as comical and like jovial as you think it does in your head. Like, it's me and the boys up here having a good time, just fucking having a laugh. Like, no, it just looks like dysfunction. It looks like bad. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
But it's just like no one will ever play better for you yelling at them. And
especially public.
Depends on what you're yelling, though.
Well,
I mean, like, if you moderate that with like a little bit of like, you're so goddamn sexy, Dave. Why don't you get your head out of your ass and fucking make it sound better? Then it'd be like,
It just makes me think
I'm fucking sexy, goddammit. I should get my head out of my ass and get to work.
Yeah, I was gonna say I love yelling at Davey on stage and being like, fucking goddamn it, why do you sound so good?
Positive. Well,
that's
abuse.
why I think the term berating is better for that situation.
Right.
Negative.
Right. Yeah. No, I feel that way about band and crew stuff. Unless somebody's really like screwed the pooch somehow, like just something goes wrong, but like it's fixable and it's nobody's fault. That's what people, as crew people, that's like what we're there to do, is to fix stuff when it goes wrong. That's really the job.
Yeah.
If someone, and getting yelled at for that is a little ridiculous when you've done nothing to cause whatever problem that is. And I've seen that happen a few times. And that's really
especially
interesting.
to sound engineers. That's the worst.
Well,
nothing makes me more mad than a band who doesn't thank their sound engineer. No matter if there were technical difficulties, they have one of the hardest jobs. It's easy for us to get up there and play music with people that we interact with all the time. We've rehearsed in a familiar place. But for a guy who, especially a sound engineer that maybe has never worked with this band before, they're looking at gear that they've never had to mic or a room that they've never had to work, and it's ridiculous. It's like, don't get mad at somebody for things that are not within their power. They're doing what they can. You know what I mean? Now, if it's a reoccurring thing, then maybe it's like, okay, get your shit together. Like, let's figure this out. We've been playing.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Like a certain somebody who who we all know and
I already know who you're talking about.
For sure.
love to hate.
But do we still thank them? Absolutely. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
No, I stopped thanking
it's a
him.
courtesy thing.
But you're not an asshole. You know what I mean? It's about being a decent person.
Right.
Wait, we gotta wrangle Hodrick back in. We gotta come back.
Oh, we've lost the Hodrick.
I think we can do like
I guess I do. I do
flash
thank this
round.
cat. I do thank this cat when I work with him, but I always sigh like as I'm doing it, like thanks.
Right. Yeah.
It just amazes me how
I
many
think
people.
he
It amazes me how many people have no sense of tact in how they deal with other people, and a lot of musicians can be really guilty of this because they're sensitive people themselves. And people, it just seems like there are so many people who never get the idea together that there's a way to converse with people that makes them want to work with you and help you. And then there's a way to converse with someone that does the exact opposite and not only makes them feel bad, but will make them perform worse. And now they're going to hold it against you for the rest of the night. And now the rest of the band is holding it against you as well, because you're hurting the balance and the performance of the band as a whole. Because now you've got someone on stage who's self-conscious and is either taking it in stride and being a professional and moving forward, or is, you never know how bad of a day somebody's having on any given day. So you don't know what that's doing to them in the moment.
Yeah, true.
And it's no wonder why there are gigs where people walk, you know?
For sure.
In circles or?
Well,
Both. In circles and away.
Where did these minstrels walk?
Usually off
Are
into
they
the sunset.
troubadours? Are they traveling?
So
Sorry.
I think we can do like a speed round of
Speed meme.
of our second memes now.
speed.
Yes. All right.
This is
Let's
exciting.
move on to Allie
I'm gonna make out
number
with these
2.
memes real quick.
Yes.
Allie number 2. All right. So we've got a freckled redhead
Oh,
child
this one.
making what us musicians like to call the stank face.
I enjoy this one.
Wait.
It's
Wait,
that.
hold on. Let's all, yeah.
Yeah. And it says, as a musician, this is the highest compliment you can receive from another musician.
Yeah, it is.
I'll tell you,
yeah.
like,
This one wins for me, hands down, because that is true.
it's so true. I remember
yeah.
it was the first time that we saw Snarky Puppy play, and it was at the Mint. And I have never been in such a nerdy room. And it was unbelievable. Every single person in the band, in the audience, had this face, including me. And
Yeah.
God, Max, what did those guys say in front of us?
Oh God.
Oh, they said, these guys don't even care about time signatures. They don't even care.
Yeah.
They were
I remember when you
flipping out.
Yeah, I remember when you said that, Allie, because I never forgot that about like that show. Like that compliment stuck in my head. Like I thought.
I
That
think
was,
I spent more time focused on the audience than I did the band because they were just so funny. They could not handle how good they sounded. It was physically affecting them. Like,
Man, talking
Right,
about
dude.
Snarky Puppy, they're
100%.
like
Yeah,
such a
makes sense,
big.
though.
They're so guilty of that.
oh yeah.
There's like, oh man, which video is it? Is it Lingus that has Corey Henry's like stupid
Yes.
solo?
Solo.
Yeah.
Just like when it pans to other members of the band, just like listening to that solo.
Michael League just like lives with this face when he's playing with that band. Just,
right.
yeah.
It's so good.
You have people
Yeah.
like taking off their headphones and walking away, like I can't fucking listen to this anymore.
Yeah.
It's too
Yeah.
good.
Done. Dude, rage quit.
Max, when you and
Yeah,
I saw
rage
Snarky
quit.
Puppy at, where was it? The Orpheum? Yeah.
Yeah.
Corey Henry ended up showing up as like a guest just because they were in LA and he was just in town.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And at
he
some
wasn't in the
point,
band
he was
anymore.
he was just jamming around and he played a chord that my body found so offensive that it physically fucking hurt me. Like it was quick too. He just going through a solo, and then just did some thing, and like I just had this feeling inside that just.
It's
Guys.
it's really funny. Like, all right, so we joke about it and how this is like it's a funny thing that we do, but like when you're a musician, music is just so ingrained into your soul. Like
Yeah.
you there is nothing else. There is nothing else that is so 24/7 for you than music, and other music will elicit reactions in you, and when
Oh, yeah.
something elicits such a strong reaction to you, that is just kind of like the facial tick that that you have that
Yep.
that it's just a thing that happens. You can't help
Yeah.
it.
Is there anything more frustrating as a musician than showing another musician a song or a lick or something and being like, you don't understand, like, listen to how disgusting this is, and they don't feel like they want to vomit after listening to it, like, and you're like, what is wrong with you? Like, how do you not understand?
Yeah, we're back in that blue territory.
Yeah, well, that
makes me think of like showing someone your favorite movie.
Yeah, they're like, I just don't
and
get it.
You're sitting next to them and like, oh, this is my favorite part, and you're just like, right, and there's like no reaction from them.
Infuriating.
Oh yeah.
Like, well, you just suck. You just don't have taste. Then you don't.
You
get
just
it.
don't understand, man. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What-
Oh, go ahead.
Does everybody have a favorite movie?
Interstellar.
Oh, that's right. You're still Interstellar.
I don't know. I have
Not
like a
just one
favorite
single
guilty
one.
pleasure movie that I can mention.
Yeah, me too.
Goodfellas.
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen it, so I don't know why I asked. Really.
I've never seen this independent film that you speak of.
This niche foreign film.
Mine would probably
Was
be
that a stamp
a
film?
tie
Collection
between.
edition.
Yeah. Mine would be a three-way tie between Goodfellas, Lebowski, and Caddyshack. I think for me,
Okay.
I can pick a
Caddyshack.
Mm-hmm. I love that
Oh,
movie.
Interesting.
Billy.
Oh, Billy. Well, we're waiting. Yeah, love that movie.
Love some Caddyshack.
How do you judge other golfers? By height. Love that
That is
movie.
a great fucking
Don't get me
pick.
started.
I don't know if I watch enough movies to have an opinion.
Yeah.
Just a favorite.
Yeah.
All right.
Should we?
Yeah.
Let's pull up Davey's number 2.
Yes.
Oh, here you go.
Who does number 2 work for?
So wholesome.
Oh god. As
Bite your lip, buddy, and give it hell.
as the solo dad in this podcast,
Yeah,
I feel like this
right.
is super appropriate for you.
Such a dad joke.
I'm so proud of
Man,
this one.
sure.
I'm just fucking
It's
proud.
just so
This
wholesome.
meme's so shitty, I could have picked it. Good work, David. That's a good one.
Rolling right off the Caddyshack. How about that segue, bro?
Describe that meme, David.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Here's the meme description, you guys. It's so hard to read without laughing. So there's a portrait of a certain well-known gentleman, singer-songwriter, popular
Kenneth
in the
Loggins.
80s.
Someone
And,
who takes it to the danger zone.
He takes it to the danger zone, fucking full throttle, bro. And
he's all right.
He's
Don't
all right.
nobody
Don't
worry about
worry.
him.
Don't nobody worry about him. Because it's Kenny Loggins. If you don't know Kenny Loggins, then God help you. It's one of those like super like hunky looking pictures of him from like '83, and it says, "I changed all my passwords to Kenny. Now I have all Kenny Loggins."
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just this, come on, it's the stupid punny wordplay of it. And Kenny Loggins is great, and I mean, that's one of my guilty pleasures things. Like, all of his songs they're like fucking, like, they slap so hard, and he doesn't really seem to like register with mainstream audiences like you think he would. Am I wrong?
No,
I feel like
Not
people
anymore.
not anymore, maybe. But I feel like people will bring up Hall & Oates before they bring up like Kenny Loggins or Loggins and Messina, and I'm like, if you want something like more interesting, but that also hits those buttons, I'd be like Kenny Loggins.
I feel like Kenny Loggins may also be known more for his like duets or collaborations with other
Yeah,
musicians.
like Loggins and Messina.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
And soundtrack stuff than like as a musician.
Like what
That's
soundtrack
fair.
stuff? Like Caddyshack or?
Well, I mean like Top Gun.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, I don't know. I can't think of anything else.
Fair enough.
He just got lost in Kenny Loggins'
I mean,
eyes.
we all kind of got hazy because he's wearing like a turtleneck or some shit, isn't he?
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
open.
He's got like
full
an
beard.
open
I mean,
like
I'm into it.
cardigan with like not much of a shirt underneath, and it's like it's like he's like, come hither, come play with Kenny, and it's like what's going on here?
Yeah, I was gonna say, man,
So it made
he's,
me
he's
feel
a
funny.
good-looking fellow.
Like climbing the rope in gym class. All
all
right,
right.
who got next?
You're not a good musician unless you enjoy a good pun, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
I am
not
for it.
disagreeing with you there.
Yeah, if you're not obsessed with puns and references, I'd be like, what are you doing making music? I was like, that's all this
Yeah,
is.
what are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing when you're not practicing? All right, David Hodrick, number 2.
All
The
right.
D to
It's
the
just a
show.
picture of a dude with like a, looks like a, I don't know, oversized,
Are you-
gigantic camping backpack or something.
That's hot.
And the meme is me and in the camping backpack, music equipment that I never use but refuse to get rid of.
David,
And this
are,
is.
are you trying
this
to?
is
Is this directed at me? Is that? Are
No.
you? Is this some sort of? Okay, just making sure.
Jesse, can you not see
This
the
is-
backdrop of
Yeah, I'm like
David's
looking at
camera?
this.
This is clearly me. Hold on, let me just.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm a close second with all my
We'll narrate right now.
what do we got
freaking
here?
gear.
What do we got here?
I think we can all acknowledge that Hodrick is out of control in the lab.
We see
Yeah.
one
you
drum
have
set,
so much gear, bro. Okay, one
set
drum
up,
set.
a piano,
Piano.
a
Keyboard.
second
Keyboard.
drum set.
There's
PA
also
system.
my
PA.
my,
yeah.
my pedal board case,
Ano-
which is still over there.
Another keyboard, because wait, is that a third drum set besides, and then a stacked 4th and 5th drum set?
Oh, there's like 5 drum
no,
sets
wait, there's
back
like
there?
4 drum sets back there, right? How many drum sets back there next to? And what's the Rasta guy's name?
I think there's a rack
that's
of
a-
like 10 snares too.
Yeah.
Well, this set is for holding charts, and this set is for holding cups.
Damn,
and then this one is for,
Well, I was gonna say, yeah. Yeah, go
But
for
the
it,
thing
go
is,
for
yes, continue.
Some of that is band gear because we rehearse there. So like all the
That's
drum
right.
stuff is obviously David's, but some of those keys and cases and stuff belong to
Thing
various
is,
people.
This is how you know a man that worked at Guitar Center, right?
Yeah.
Discount.
Somebody enjoyed that discount.
so, I mean,
Right, yeah.
That discount definitely, comes in handy.
I mean, none of us can really, rag on him. I mean, I'm in a recording studio right now that like 1/6 of the equipment ever gets used.
Right.
Yeah. Like in my defense, each of my kits like serves a purpose, like for a specific thing. Whether it's like one kit is for that band, another kit is for that band.
That's not
But then-
that's not admissible evidence.
No, it's, but you know what? I'm in.
Yeah.
That's what's up, bro.
Yeah.
But is the implication of the meme that all that gear is weighing you down?
Ooh.
I don't know. Look at the way he's
Not at all.
carrying it. He's all. He's
guess
stoked
he's
to
pretty
be walking
jovial.
around with it. He's just like,
Dare I say he's smiling?
yeah. He's not straining under the mass of that fucking bag of equipment. He's just like,
yeah,
fuck yeah.
Good time.
Yeah.
He's like, I
Ed
can't
Sheeran is
wait.
clearly happy. Look at him.
Next session,
Matt,
we're
how
gonna
many
use all
symbols do
this
you have?
stuff.
Oh God, don't ask me that
Ah.
question.
Aha! I am not alone.
I was gonna say I've got.
By the way, that
My-
is not $5,000 total of gear. That is like right. That is only $5,000 worth of gear that we bring to the gig. Everything else is
Right.
Right.
Right. I was gonna say we won't even get
I'm not
my
even gonna-
into.
He's like, I'm not gonna deal
we
with
won't.
that.
Yeah, we won't get into all my pedal problems, but that's a whole other meme and podcast on its own.
Wait,
So.
are you pedophile?
Oh.
There's a new meme.
to say.
when you leave
Draw
your
it
guard
up.
down for a second, Davey Sipes is right in there with the right hook.
I'm sorry.
Davey Sipes Snipes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Cousin of Wesley. All right.
Davey is hard cueing on, so that it's not we know
Yeah,
that
no.
he's coming from.
I'm that deep cover.
Big oof of the podcast.
Yeah.
Whap.
Yeah, I don't feel
Big
bad
oof.
for having all old though, because
Sorry,
This is
everybody.
what it is.
Sorry, Jay.
Eventually, we'll replay those in slow motion like at Sports Center. And oh, the big oof of the podcast goes to Davey Sipes.
For sure.
All right. Jesse, number 2. My favorite
number
music
2.
meme I've ever found. It's,
This is your
as Bootsy
favorite.
Collins once said, it's funny because it's real. So, this is Miles Davis. I don't know exactly what picture this is. I don't think it's an album cover. It's Miles Davis with both of his hands on his face, looking very labored, like he has a migraine, and like exhaling, and it says, "When it's been a month and the check hasn't come in yet." Now, I don't know if anybody wants to get into this or can get into this. All I'll say is I've had this happen to me a few times from playing gigs and tech gigs.
Yes.
And this is the face that you make. And it's a very real thing. And to me,
Painful.
I saw this and laughed heartily because it's happened to me a couple times. So I don't know how y'all feel about this.
I don't laugh at this one. This one makes me upset.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes me upset.
Fucking money.
Because that $50, we fucking need it now.
Yeah.
I've been.
Or you cash the $50 check and it bounces. You can't bounce a $50 check at the bank. You might as well go back to bed and start your day over again. Come on.
Exactly.
I'll be honest. I don't think I've ever been paid with a check at for a gig.
Really?
Lucky man.
Really?
Well, usually because
I've been paid in farthings.
usually because I'm not the man. I'm not the man distributing the money. So like the guy who's collecting the money is getting the check and then usually paying me cash or something.
Right.
okay.
Yeah,
So check in
like
the
when we were
cash.
doing jukebox shit, I was always like the check man. So
Yeah.
I know that.
No, that's
But
right.
I have had plenty of instances where I haven't been paid immediately,
Like-
or shorted money, or not paid at all. And I have to hound somebody down and be like, "Are you going to pay me? Am I getting paid? Like, what's happening?"
Luckily, I've never run into that one. If I've been told I'm going to get paid, I've always been paid. I've never been told I was going to be paid and then didn't get paid.
Yeah.
I'm lucky on that one.
Is
That
it
is nice.
just me?
I can't say
or-
I've ever not been paid by a venue, but I was in a band where
I remember now. Yeah.
we'll call him the leader of the band, just kind
Oh.
of failed to pay. Or said, "Oh, well, this money is going into
Too
a
bad.
band pot." Who the fuck agreed to that?
fucking-
Not me.
Whoa, yeah.
But
Yeah.
the
So
fucking
that's
band
we
fund
gonna
is for
roll
bands
that
you don't
band
care
pot and
about.
smoke it.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Hey,
Well, okay.
I can think about a time I had to wait like almost a year for a check. I had to. It wasn't. It was. We have to drag a local industry to get that out there though, because it wasn't the band I was playing for. Although I guess it was. Nick, was it your fault? Nick, it's always your fault. Nick, I'm free. It's your fucking fault. But reality though, it was the venue. It was AV Fair.
Oh yeah,
They made us wait like 10 months on a check.
that's the city though.
Damn.
Well,
Yeah.
Any gig
Yeah,
I've
I
done,
mean,
any gig I've done for the city.
Whoever they
it's,
are, they're making you wait. I mean, it
Which
felt like
sucks.
being at the DMV or some shit. It was
For all
crazy.
that cash.
yeah.
And
well,
it was
not
like
calling
whatever. We all could live without the money, but it's just the thought of it. Like we had to track it down repeatedly to get it. It would have been taken longer probably without Nick's efforts.
Or never. Yeah.
Yeah, or never,
Well-
right?
And
Sorry.
not calling anybody out specifically with this, but in my two instances on this, I the longest it's taken for me is like 3-4 months of like constantly bugging about it. But it was with one tech gig and one playing gig in particular, this happened. But is it just me, or like the bigger the gig, or at least on paper, of like this is a cool thing and then this is going on and then this about, that's always the times where I've had the most trouble getting paid. And then more often than not, when I take a $50 gig and I'm like, why am I doing this? That's the gig where the band will make like hundreds of dollars in tips. I ended up walking
Right.
away with like, $150,
Immediately.
$200 in my pocket. And I go, oh, that was a better night than I thought it would be. And
Yeah.
this big gig where I'm like, yeah, this is the first festival tribute to like Gary Oldman, and it's Old Fest, and it's gonna be awesome. We want a band to be there, and it's like, yeah, all right, that sounds good to me. And then that's when you're texting the promoter, and you're like, hey, what the fuck? It's been 3 months. I haven't gotten a check. Oh, sorry. And then they just stop texting you, and then you just every day, dude, what's up? Dude, what's up?
Money.
My money? Question mark? Money? And then eventually you get it. Like those are those gigs when it's like, oh, this is gonna be the coolest gig ever, and it's like, no, it's not. It's a fucking headache.
Oh, you're blowing my mind, man. Tribute to Gary Oldman. I'm like, what?
The grimiest, dirtiest little dive bar gigs will pay you immediately for some.
For sure.
Yeah, it's like
For
I'll
sure.
I'll play a shithole and it'll be fine, and then I play some brand new festival thing and it's just like, oh no, that's sorry. Or it's like, hey, this is a last minute thing, but this is gonna be crazy, insane, and awesome, and it's like that's red flag.
Yeah. Oh, this reminds me of the one time Dead Rats played a festival, but it was really just like a campground that we weren't allowed to be at way out in the middle of Apple Valley. And it was like 4 miles off road, and my car was sad, and we trucked in a generator and played on plywood boards and breeze blocks for a riser, which was sketchy. So I took the mushrooms to calm down. And it was real fun. That was my festival.
It would be the exact opposite remedy of my problem. It's like, oh, I'm not getting paid and I'm gonna die. Cool, awesome.
And it was the windiest. You know how windy it is where we live, guys? Imagine the windiest like night in August, like just the hottest like wind, like dust wind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
a question for you
Yes.
guys. This might be an odd topic, but Davey mentioned doing drugs while playing.
Sure.
There's kind of this whole like stigma.
I sure did.
There's this whole stigma around musicians, right? Of like drug, sex, and rock and roll. And I know personally, I do not enjoy playing music under the influence of anything.
No.
I find it really hard. I don't know if you guys have that same experience. For some people, it kind of unlocks this creativity. For me, I feel like it shuts it down, kind of. I get more like, I enjoy listening to music more, I suppose, but actually making music, I'm like, I don't want to.
I wouldn't know.
That's cool.
I'm 100% sober. I always have been.
For
so
sure. I
somebody
appreciate
else take
that.
the floor.
Totally respect that.
I mean,
Yeah,
David and
next.
Jesse will know, and I think I talked about it before, but I, especially if it's a gig I don't care about, I enjoy playing buzzed, and if it's a gig I really don't care about, I'll get drunk.
For sure.
because there's no other way I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
For sure.
100.
But
Yeah.
if it's something I care about, if it's for something that's important or anything else, then no, I'll just wait until afterwards or when I get home, because it's not worth it.
For sure.
Because
Right.
you may feel like you're playing better or may loosen something
Right.
up, but it's probably not what's translating on stage.
No.
Yeah, I don't know how the guys do it, especially singers who are like chain smoking cigarettes, doing shots of liquor. Like, if I have like an ounce of alcohol in me and I try to sing, my range just shortens up. My throat gets dry, like alcohol dehydrates you, so it's just like it just fucks with me immensely. So yeah, never. I think I got drunk at one gig and it was actually Matt's grandparents' like 50-year wedding anniversary or something, and yeah, I think we all sucked on that gig pretty bad.
Yeah.
Never again.
Yeah. Adding to that real quick, I would say I don't do anything when I play, just because I know what that stigma is and I know what I look like and what I'm into, and I show up alert, attentive, and I don't. Like, I'll drink after a gig and have a beer or whatever, or there have been a select number of times where if I wasn't getting paid for a gig and somebody bought, like, the band a round of drinks or something, I would, like, drink on stage or something like that. But I never do that if I'm getting paid for a gig, ever. And the only time I will actively drink or get buzzed or drunk is if I'm playing a party and I'm not getting paid. Like, hey, we're going to have a big barbecue and, like, you want to come over and play and jam? Yeah, that's different. If I'm there
For
and
sure,
it's
yeah,
like,
that's different.
yeah, and I don't judge people that have a beer or a shot. I just don't do that because I don't want people assuming. Because if I fuck something up or if I even look like I'm kind of a little off, I get really self-conscious, and then it's like, oh yeah, of course he's fucking loaded, and it's like, no, I don't play that shit.
You also
But
have
what
to
were you
know
gonna
what
say?
type
It's
of
almost a little embarrassing too, like to see, not to see somebody drink on stage or whatever, but when a singer or a guitar player, anybody gets so drunk that they're stumbling around, and it's like, especially if somebody paid to get into that venue to watch you play, I kind of find that disrespectful to your audience and to the venue to not show up and be professional. If you can handle it and you can sound good and not act like an idiot, by all means, but It's kind of different from
It's
person to
it's
person.
just one of
Davey
the.
and I
true.
did a gig like that one time, where
One time.
we ended up sitting in with someone who will not be named.
Oh, Voldemort. Sorry. It's Voldemort.
And
That fucking nose was fuck.
the this particular gig was markedly horrible.
I thought
the
about it
way
earlier. Yeah.
the both of us, and it basically
It was
the
a
whole
shit show,
gig
bro.
the whole gig was a nightmare. It just an entire shit show, like no preparation whatsoever. The person leading the group didn't know their own material well enough, was an extremely poor communicator and super unprofessional, and basically couldn't deal with the band holding the music together better than her.
Wow.
To the basically to the degree that for our last set, she not only left the stage, went to the bar and proceeded to get incredibly plastered within a very short amount of time. To which the band's response was just to keep playing, and the guitar player essentially spearheaded the gig. And we finished the gig, and we
But
got
they
paid.
also
And
had
she
it
made
out in front of everybody while we were ostensibly trying to play
Yes.
songs too. Like
Yes,
they were
so this-
screaming at each other. It was epic.
this band leader and the guitar player on the gig were just like vehemently fighting throughout the entire
Wow.
gig, and it was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. I've never been in a position where somebody has made such a fool of themselves on stage, just shamelessly.
Well, and it reflects on you too, right?
Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
you're affiliated. You know, no matter how professional you are,
I guess.
you're attached to that,
Yep.
and that's a whole other thing.
So needless to say, that was basically the only person in my entire playing career who I have expressly said, do not call me again. Lose my phone number. You could never pay me enough to work with you again.
Wow. Jeez.
Wow.
Coming from you, that's kind of huge.
Yeah, that's not a thing you get in general. Citizens from Matt Lindsay. He's like, yeah, okay, we'll see. But even when it's like a hard no, he's gonna be real nice about it.
Speaking of pay, Matt's next meme.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
No.
Move on.
Yeah.
I wasn't done talking
you,
about
Davey.
the previous one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be speed round.
Speak on. Yeah, speed
Yeah.
round.
I was
That's what
talking
I
about the drug, not the
Yeah.
tempo.
Those are good. Moving on.
This is the round
All
where we
right.
all take speed.
Yeah.
Snap.
Right before bed. Perfect.
Whoa,
Yeah.
I just drank some green tea. That'll double down nicely.
Yeah. I was gonna say, does coffee count? All right. So we have Matt Lindsay, number 2.
Okay, so my
Load this.
meme here is just this old grizzled dog who looks like he's seen some serious shit, is all white in the nose, and you can tell he's probably got some kind of
Oh, wait.
ocular infection. His eyes are a little bulgy, a little sleepy looking, but also like the most intense Fry from Futurama meme looking eyes you've ever seen.
Yeah.
It should be
Yeah,
noticed
you
that
would
he's
Yeah,
also a
good
good boy.
description.
He's also a good boy.
The goodest. Yes.
But so imagine the most like glaringly skeptical eyes half open look you could give somebody.
Yeah.
And this meme aptly says, "You told me when and where the gig is, but have yet to tell me what it pays." Which I think anybody working in the professional environment can tell you is the bane of just about every musician's existence, and is one of the number one things we end up wasting time going back and forth with people about. It's also one of the things that people tend to be the most shady about, trying to obscure until the absolute end of a conversation, or just basically won't tell you at all.
Right.
And as somebody who tries to be really, really nice and agreeable with people, it's something I've had a hard time coming to terms with over the years is learning how to navigate that particular scenario. And everybody does it differently, you know, but I think it's one of those things, if you don't learn how to take care of it, you just become more and more grizzled throughout your years. So
those are the same people, the people that don't like tell you what the pay is up front are the same people who tell you we're not looking to get a hired gun, we want a band member.
Yeah.
Which basically means like we want someone who's going to be okay with not getting paid very much, but also contributing more than they're getting paid for.
Right.
Yeah. We're looking for a new drummer, not, hey, we need a drummer to fill in on this gig. But they'll seldomly find like ways around telling you, hey, we need you to be our permanent guy, and just trying to like fish line and bait you into like doing that one gig and then call you back in for another gig and then give you a couple little more responsibilities for the next gig until you realize, like, what the fuck? Wait a minute. I'm not in your band.
Yep.
Right.
So, well, we're kind of in an industry of favors too. Like, you know, we've all done free work for each other. We all have sat in on gigs for friends or friends of friends who recommended us or whatever. And, you know, I can say from personal experience with music and also with my photography business is that people don't want to pay no matter how good you are, no matter who you've worked with or anything like that. And at a certain point, you have to turn down gigs if you're not getting paid what you're worth. We've dedicated our whole lives, money dumped into this profession, and at a certain point you have to say, you know what, I'm better than that gig. I'm better than working for only tips and drinks. You know what I mean? And that's hard because you might burn some bridges in the process, but you're also going to be gaining respect from like-minded people who really are the people that you want to be working with anyway.
Robot again. Yeah, respect.
Sorry.
It's not your fault.
It's okay.
Jesse, it makes me think about that time that, you know, you and I went to go see Tony play at Guitar Center when he put his clinic on.
Oh,
do you remember that years and years ago? Were you there too, Max?
Yeah, I remember going to that.
Wow. Okay, so
that was in town, right?
That was in town. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Antelope Valley. Yeah.
I remember. I mean, I was probably 19, so.
Hey, 19.
Jesse was a little younger than me.
Okay, so we hadn't met yet. Okay.
No, I don't think we had met yet. But basically, Jesse was asking me at that point. Maybe I was 20. But you had mentioned something to me about like how to get. You were asking advice as to how to get better paying gigs.
Okay.
And I remember the advice that I gave to you was play outside of the Antelope Valley.
Yeah,
For sure.
I remember that.
And the people who were there with you, one of the girlfriends of one of those people took massive offense to that.
Okay.
That ended up being a whole thing. But it's really true what Allie is saying, because like for me, I know this doesn't necessarily work out well for everybody, but the point at which I actually started getting consistently better paying gigs was when I started saying no to gigs that just weren't satisfactory anymore. And that can be a really long game to play, but eventually it got to that point where I don't really have to tell people anymore who are, you know, in the circle or just this general area. I don't have to tell people what a gig needs to pay for me anymore. Like musicians talk and they know. So
Right.
Yeah,
Because you'll end up being the guy who, hey, he's a great player and he'll also do it for nothing.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and you always get a
And-
bunch of phone calls from people expecting that, and you condition them to thinking that that's what you're worth. So as soon as you change your mind and
Exactly.
go like, hey, wait a minute, actually, I need more, they're going to look at you like you're crazy.
And that's a
Right.
double-edged sword too, because then you'll always have people who will take the stance of, oh, well, this guy thinks he's better than everyone, and that's really not what it's about. It's just at a certain point, you put enough effort and you put enough time into something that you have to make that, you have to take that stance at some point, because you have to, one, decide what you think your value is in what you're offering, and two, have the guts to stick by that. And I know there are a lot of people around, you know, this general area that are not fond of me for that I ask for more money. Or for the fact that I say no to things relatively often now. Not so much, you know, during Corona, but before, I was busy enough to the point that I was saying no more often to things than yes, and it got to the point I had a lot of qualifiers that I would tag to that first initial conversation with people about whether I was going to take a gig or not, and how you were getting paid and how timely the pay was going to be eventually became one of those things, because for me now, not only do I ask what it's going to pay, I ask how I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
And when I'm getting paid. And the other thing I ask is, if it is for a dollar amount that is not necessarily what I would like it to be, am I getting 1099 for it?
Right.
Because if I'm going to be, you know, if it's going to further complicate my taxes and just be another thing that I have to keep track of for the rest of the year to make less than $100, I honestly would rather not do it at this point. And I know that's going to come across a certain way to some people. And, you know, there was definitely a time in my life where I never could have imagined myself saying something like that. But it's the truth. It really is.
It's your livelihood, you know? That's what people don't understand, is that music is a passion, but it's also a job. You know, just like any other type of artist, you know, photography, visual art, dance, anything like that, you know, if that's all that you're doing, and you got bills, you know, so you gotta make money somehow.
Yeah. I look at this as, just looking at this is the precursor to the Miles meme that we just saw. Is that not saying that, you know, sometimes you get all the info when you're going to get paid and everything, it seems legit, and sometimes things go awry and that doesn't happen. Other times you will take something and you have all the details and everything's seemingly worked out. You know, technical stuff is like, oh yeah, there's going to be this and this and this. But for some reason, when it comes to money, there's this fog of war of like, I got to talk to him, and I'm waiting for an email back, and we're going to see what happened. And then it's like, anytime I get that, it's like, that to me is all the shady shit. And you're just like, like, okay, you have everything worked out, but not budget. And that's the thing. I've done stuff for people where they, you know, as a favor, or if it's a friend of mine, they go, hey, I don't know if there's any money in this at all, or little to nothing. Then they're upfront about it. Like, it's all communication. If I'm going into a situation where I know it's not going to be a lot of money or none, and they explain that and go, hey, this is the circumstance, I can choose to take that or not if I want to. I don't like it when there's this, they try to mystify it, and it's just this, oh yeah, I'm just not sure, and I got to wait and no, like, give me what it is up front. Like, is there money? Is there not? Is it like the bare minimum of what I need to make? Is it a nice gig? What is it? I want to know all of the details. All this stuff should be fleshed out ahead of time. Obviously, they're afraid that they don't want to give a number that that they feel that, or at least assume that you think is going to be too low. That's going to make you walk.
Right.
Because nobody wants the guy that's like, hey, we really want this guy. He's really good, but you know, I don't want him to walk because we can't pay him enough.
Well, I mean, it also just says a lot about a band leader who does business that way too, because I mean, if you're going to be obscure about something as important as to what a job is going to pay, that says a lot about that person, and you know, the probability that they're going to be vague and obscure about providing other essential details. And generally it's a red flag for me at this point. It's a huge red flag. My biggest pet peeve and irk on gigs is people that mess with you on money, whether they try to screw you over on something, be dishonest, leave out details, or whatever. People, the classic promoter thing, there weren't enough people there. Oh, it's all good.
if there weren't enough people there, so only half filled house, so you only get paid, half as much as what you would normally get paid. Any of that kind of stuff is my number one. Like, you start doing that, I will walk away. Not like immediately on a gig, but like all right, I don't need to come back to this, because it's a power thing. It's like we all need money to eat. We all need money to pay our bills, keep the lights on. So when people start doing stuff like that, I'm just instantly, it's like you're toying with my life and my livelihood at that point. And it's like a self-defense mechanism. If you're going to do that, I fucking leave. Like, and I don't care what the situation is. But again, it's about communication. Someone's honest about, hey, if you want to, like, or an original band, for example. Everybody who's doing that and they're doing original music and not covers knows that it's like there is a gap between, like when you start out to making, money and being successful at it. And if everybody's in on that and like, hey, we're going to just put the money back into the band to build things up, we're going to buy new equipment, we're going to buy a van, we're going to buy studio time, whatever it is, that's all needs to be like communicated and spoken about. Yeah. And if everybody's cool with that, then that's fine, but I think we're talking about like cover band, corporate band situations where it's like, hey, it's a different world. Like all that stuff needs to be, set in stone ahead of time.
Well,
it's kind of the same for me no matter what kind of situation it is, whether it's a tour, whether it's a recording session, anything. If I don't have a number in front of me that's concrete, and if I don't know when I'm getting paid and what the tax situation on it is going to be, I don't say yes. I mean, there are special situations where I'll do that. If I'm getting called for a gig on a recommendation, generally I pretty much will always take that, regardless of what the pay situation is. And my policy is I will always take that gig once. Like I'll always do the initial gig with the group, and that's always been a good practice for me because so many great friendships and business relationships and frankly so many great paying gigs have come of that, where taking a gig that maybe doesn't pay well, but there's a lot of potential for the human capital that you amass by being a part of those things. It pays off tremendously. But if somebody's just calling me blind and I can get that sense that it's not really a professional group, because you can size that kind of situation up really quickly. Like a band leader that's generally not going to be professional, I'm pretty strict to those standards.
Yeah.
Well,
but I will say I'm never a jerk about it. It's just that at this point, I don't mind cutting somebody off in the middle of their spiel if I can tell that they're trying to talk their way through me asking what the gig pays, which a lot of people try to do often.
Right.
Nice butt.
That's true.
Well, speaking of livelihood, will I finish with my
cut that out.
With my
Post.
mean.
A classic.
Fine.
Somebody's self-important.
Hey, someone likes to talk.
Oh! Blah, 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 blah! Holy shit! Whoa. I'm getting all excited over here.
My heart.
Shots fired on Max's end.
Damn.
Drop this fucking meme, man.
All right, so
Fuck.
we got a simple one here. It's just it's a recording studio in the control booth with the mixing console, but it's filled with cobwebs, and there's a skeleton, and it says the mix is almost perfect.
Max takes forever to mix.
Well, if we want to talk Max taking forever to mix, let's talk about that one album that took like 3 years.
Oh
for
my
you
God,
to mix.
let's talk about Amplitude.
Wow.
I mean, part of that's
Great album,
part of that's
though.
not my fault.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
'Cause I don't know.
Now, mind you, this was before you know, this was bedroom recording days, you know,
Yeah.
blankets, all
Pre-studio.
that good stuff, way pre-studio, you know, so.
I mean, this is just general musician thought anyway. How much we obsess over specific
small
details
shit.
of our musicianship, or whether it's
Hardcore.
whether it's practicing technique or performance or recording and mixing. It's just like you can sometimes spend way too much time on something
For sure.
because you never feel that it's there yet.
Well, because when you're listening to yourself, you're listening just critically. Like, not even just like listening critically for, you know, what can be improved on, but you're listening for like the smallest inconsistent bullshit that
Right.
the average, not even the average person, but just like even like somebody with a trained ear is listening on. They're like, oh yeah, that part was a little rushed there, but then they're just like shrugging it off. But you're like, oh my God, it was rushed. I'm just a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's especially it's especially common for mix engineers and mixing songs where, I mean, especially for your own stuff, but this can be for any mix where you're taking that mix and you're like, oh, this sounds good, and then you go listen to it in the car or somewhere else, or you come back to it the next day and it's like, oh no, that snare drum needs to be like half a
Snare drum
decibel
sounds like shit.
louder. Yeah, now it's good. Then you listen to it again and come back the next day like, no shit. So this sucks. I'm gonna start over. Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I know that when it comes to like live performance, like I used to do anything at all costs to avoid watching videos of myself performing or listening to recordings of myself, just because of like, yeah, it's just the cringiness, right? And
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like now I'm at a stage in my life and my career that I actually really enjoy going back and watching live performances, no matter what the flubs. Sorry. No, I enjoy going back and listening to them no matter
What the
what.
flubs?
No matter what happened, you know, because it's like you see your growth, you see your, you know, your flaws as something other than just that. It's human error is kind of a cool thing as well,
Yeah, it's the fastest
Yeah.
way to improve too.
for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I used to have a lot of gripe with that kind of thing too, but I mean, after enough people that you really respect and look up to tell you it's the number one thing you can do to improve your playing,
Yes.
you either take that advice and run with it or you don't. And the thing is, there is always a marked difference between players who record themselves and listen back to themselves and players who don't. Because you can tell if you're the kind of person that records yourself often, and when I mean often, I mean if you're the kind of person that even records your practice and watches it back every time you practice, you can tell really, really quickly when you play with somebody whether they do that or not, because
Yeah.
there are just certain things about their playing, their phrasing, their touch that you can hear right away, and you can tell, oh wow, this person obviously doesn't listen back to their own playing often.
That and the obvious lack of, especially if it's been enough time and knowing that person, the obvious lack of growth in a set number of, you know, days, months, or etc.
Right.
Well, I think
Well,
there's
and in a studio setting, it's so extra cringy because you're listening to raw, unmixed stuff. You know, for vocals, you're hearing dry vocals. You know, for guitar, you might not be hearing it through an amp. You know, all these different things that our ears are used to hearing in a final product. It's like, ugh, I don't want to hear my voice soloed. Disgusting, right? But then the final product, it's like, oh yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah,
sounds
listening
amazing,
to yourself
you know?
raw, like straight, like you just track something and you go, all right, come on in, we're gonna take a listen, and you listen exactly back to what you just did. It just sounds like shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then after like the full mix process, you're like, oh, actually, no, it sounds pretty good.
well,
so
I
which
mean,
is it?
that's-
But again, you
is
get
it?
used to it.
I'm gonna
That's-
ask you guys, which is it? Which
Which
is
is
the
what?
most accurate form of what you actually sound like? What you sound like raw, or what you sound like mixed?
I mean,
What do you
Whatever
think
it is.
is the more accurate?
it's both. I mean,
Right, because the normal rooms that you would sing in have a natural ambience. So we're not used to singing in a foamed, sound dampened room. So I guess it would be a little bit of both. I'm not going to sing, especially for other people, in an environment that's gonna make my voice sound shitty. Right?
Yeah, if you think about it, both are the most accurate and the least accurate. If you're talking about raw source recorded files, they're probably going to show you more mistakes than like something else would. But at the same time, that's also not what you sound like.
Right.
Because you're being mic'd up, and that's not what you hear from behind the drum set, and that's not what somebody hears in front of the drum set. This is what the mics are hearing. So that's not necessarily an accurate sonic representation of what you sound like. And being mixed, it's also somewhat similar. You're being mixed to sound like what the vision of the song is supposed to sound like. Again, it doesn't sound like you from behind the kit, and it doesn't sound like you from in front of the kit. This is for any instrument too. I'm just using the drum settings as an example.
Sure.
Right.
You're being
well, I
mixed.
mean,
No, that's great.
it
That's great,
becomes-
Max. I agree.
I agree with that too. And what it becomes is your ability, and it's your ability to perceive how you sound through different perspectives. So if you're the kind of person that doesn't like the way that you sound when you're being recorded with raw signal, that's probably exactly why you should do that more and lean into the things that make you really uncomfortable, because recording in general will just do that to anybody. So if you're working towards the end of having a more bulletproof execution and having real confidence about being able to go into any situation and kill it, you should probably practice in those less than stellar situations and put yourself in those really inopportune, unoptimized situations where you have to still perform to that degree. Because if you don't like what you sound like when you're recorded raw, well, keep doing that and listening back, and eventually you'll start to improve, and you'll get to a point where it won't bother you anymore.
It can be rather shocking.
It's like a Taylor
especially
Swift
for like an
record.
artist.
You just keep at
Yeah.
it, and eventually you won't hate it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's also
Even folklore.
there's also
No, actually, that was good. Reputation. That's the one that took a while.
There's also outside factors that can be put on, like recording in a studio for a session is something that most musicians will never experience, and something that they'll never need to acquire a skill for. It's just something so completely different. So when we're talking about like recording yourself and hearing yourself back raw, that's probably more like you're setting up your phone as a camera, or you just have like a single mic in your room or something, and you're just like doing it that way. Because there's also like the playing aspect of being in a studio where you may have to sit down on an instrument, drums especially, and like the cymbals will be way higher than you're used to, because they need to be out of the way of other mics, and you have to adjust to that, and your playing is all of a sudden different, and it may not sound like you or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, but it's also just that, you know, the kind of world where somebody can develop the kind of skill set, if I use drummers as an example, the kind of skill set that maybe like a Peter Erskine or a Vinnie Colaiuta or a Steve Gadd would have, that kind of world doesn't really exist for people generally anymore. Like, just the amount of opportunity for somebody to amass that amount of studio experience essentially doesn't exist anymore, even for the people who are still in the middle of doing that. It's a shadow what it was. And so if you're the kind of person that has ambitions towards doing that and pursuing that regardless, then you kind of just have to do what the next best thing is. So if you're the kind of person that wants to be the kind of drummer who can go to their first recording session prepared and kill it, you've got to put yourself in situations where you can at least, you know, put on the training wheels a little bit. So it stands to reason if now, because that's the situation, and there aren't a lot of situations where people are getting called in to, you know, play 3 or 4 sessions a day, you have to get creative about how you can, one, approximate that kind of experience, for one, which I don't really think you can, but you can get close. So that stands to reason you should probably, you know, work towards the end of buying microphones and an interface for yourself so that you can get used to hearing what you sound like through real microphones and learning how your touch and your sound actually translates, because it's probably going to be massively different from what you think.
That'll help. That'll help for live performance too.
Definitely.
Because more often than not, you're going to be mic'd up on a stage.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, maybe this is a little weird for me because I think with bass, it's the whole history, at least with electric bass, is just running straight. If you look going back to Motown, is straight into the desk. And so the whole point of that is to have the sound easily controllable and manipulated, and you can mix it and mess with it however you want to. As technology's grown, that's also grown immensely. So I agree 100% with Max and Matt with everything they're talking about. With your sound in terms of your vocabulary and your touch and your dynamics is all something that you need to record yourself raw and listen back to. And as painful as that's been for me, I've been doing that more, and it's been helping me, you know, with my own playing. Even just getting over the fear of listening to myself, like, ooh, that's what I really sound like. Like, yeah, it's okay.
Right.
It's not bad. Just, you know, work on, you know, certain things. As far as recording something to put it out in the world, I don't know, man. I'm a lot less precious about, like, not doing certain things that I would have, I don't know, being weird about my sound. So, and I'm also for experimenting with things now, too. So, you know, what does it sound like with just the DI? What does it sound like with, you know, my cab mic'd up? What does it sound like with a room mic in there? What if you blend all 3 of those things together? And I'm also somebody that I do use pedals in original music. So it's like a bass doesn't sound like a flange or a phase naturally. So as far as sound is concerned, ultimately with a mix at the end of the day, I'm all for experimentation and trying different things, or maybe breaking the rules on certain things if you can get a sound that you want out of it. And again, I think it just comes with messing with things, you know, and trying new things and pushing yourself. As far as if that's naturally what you sound like, do I naturally sound like a Ready Tube DI that I love using every single time I actually release? Not at home because I don't have one, but I have a friend that has one, and I borrow one every time I go in to do an actual studio session for somebody. If, you know, does that what I sound like all the time? No, but I won't put something out of like, hey, this is my music without it. I love recording with it now.
Right.
Is that like, well, that's not your most natural sound? I don't give a shit. It sounds good. It makes a Fender P bass sound great.
Well, we
you
could,
know,
well,
it's
we could go into a whole discussion about recording.
Yes,
but,
that's true.
But unfortunately, I think we're out of time. We need
we're getting
we need to wrap up this podcast.
Yes. I think as far as contributions for memes, everybody did a great job with, you know, not just funny ones, but discussable ones. And yeah, I want to do this again with even more dank memes next time. If you can reach into your meme banks and pull out some even danker ones, that would be awesome. So
really reach into the meme vault.
Yeah,
and grab your most
really
precious
dig in
memes.
and just. Like, where's the dankness? Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say David I know has them, and I'm sure Matt has them. I'm sure.
Who do you guys think the dankest meme lord amongst all of us is?
Hodrick.
Are you talking as far as just like the craziest shit that you could pull up on your phone that makes you go, what the fuck? Like what are we talking like? What are we talking dank?
Let's figure that out.
let's end on this. I want to just get to this question quick, and then we will end on this. Yeah, I would say Hodrick, as far as shock value of content, funny level, and general absurdity. And I don't know. I've never really memed with anybody else in this discussion. I would say Hodrick or Davey would be top two. I like to consider myself, if you're an It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia man, I'm the trash man. I throw trash all over the ring. I find the worst memes that I could find, and not like worst as in, oh my God, this is obscene or whatever. I find, the equivalent to a 50-year-old making memes who doesn't know how social media or the internet works, or somebody who, hey, I made a meme today. I find that, I Google memes, I pull those up, I send them to the band chat, and I enjoy their discomfort so much. I get
those are like my favorite types of memes, though. The ones that are like really not that funny, that will just play on repeat in my head all day.
Send them to Allie.
I'm a cheap date. I will laugh at anything.
I'll send you some shit after this. I'll send you some shit.
I expect it. I will be thoroughly disappointed if you don't.
Thank you guys for doing this again. It's been fun.
Yes.
Thank you guys for having me.
So
this
much.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Thanks for having us as always.
Please, if you need photography work, if you want somebody to help write songs with you, to teach you about songwriting, any number of things, please check the description below, and you will find links to Allie Taylor's talent all over that, along with Matt and Hodrick and everybody else. So if you want to check out their work, please go in the description and look it up. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you.
I'll do the obligatory like and subscribe. Oh, and
smash that like button.
Yeah, and if you're so
smash
inclined,
that motherfucking like button.
Give us put your favorite memes in the chat.
Oh.
In the comments below.
Join the discussion.
Be careful what you ask for, Max.
Yeah, he really should have done that.
I'm all for it.
You've done it now.
I'm all for it.
All the regret.
Yes.
It's fine. Bye.
Sonic City Council was created by Jesse Davidson and Davey Sipes and engineered by Max Taylor at Desert Sound Studio in Palmdale, California. Thank you to Disaster Cabinet for the outro music. Intro music written by Max Taylor. Sonic City Council is produced in association with Amps Music Academy and the Showcase Venue. For more information, visit theshowcasevenue.com.